the tackle, the guard, and then, sometimes the center because, they would use the center to come up and try and cut me off on zone away and stuff like that because the guard, they couldn't get there. But,
it begins. It's 6:03 a.m. It begins.
Now, but with all due respect, you got to see, like, how those guys get off the ball, how they get to the second level. Do they chip and go? So it's like a thing that I definitely was into. I was a big film guy, but bathroom breaks came often.
So hold up. You went tackle in. It's the way you studied the group right there.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I figured you start with the center because most teams, the center is the guy that's lining everything up. Like, there's so many keys given from the center.
Yeah.
At least now it is.
Yeah, for sure. So for me, I went tackle in because being an outside linebacker.
Right.
Tackle guard because we had two gaps. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The D tackle, Hainsworth was responsible for A or B, and the way I would let him play, I would tell him to just go on the snap of the ball. Whatever he felt, just go because I'm 4.5 yards behind him.
Right.
I can read off him. Just don't play peekaboo. So that made him very effective. So they can actually have run games, him in the defensive end, if they play it right, because I'm reading off either way. I'm going to the open gap just because I'm behind. Now, if it's away, it really doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying?
No
I'm just going. But, it was just easier for me because I figure in the first couple years, the first year, I kind of noticed, like, D linemen poke their heads one way
peekaboo,
you know what I mean?
I
was gonna say, don't play peekaboo.
Yeah.
If you just go and just go hard, and then and that made our defense really effective, and we never had gap issues because of that.
I never forget, like, especially for me, watching D-line, watching film. One, I love film. There's nothing
I really
better.
love watching film in my NFL career, too.
It's so much. It's like looking at a painting. You see something different every time.
Every single time. And it's so much like as far as just reading people and breaking them down, which is about to happen. I'm sure we're going to talk about the combine a little bit today and guys coming back. And the one thing I'll tell anybody is going from college to the NFL is the amount of smarts that guys have. The keys, the clues, to whereas you have a guy do 3 years in college, he's out. He can't really do much at that point. Even for the guys that's 4 and 5 years, you still don't learn tendencies because seniors and juniors are leaving. There's so much turnover, but certain teams have guys that stick around for a long time to whereas either you've been in the league a long time or you've seen this guy for a long time. And it was so much so as watching feet. I used to love young linebackers. They couldn't stop tipping. The feet. You just moving, and then you give them a hard count, and they're in go mode. Or the young outside linebackers, they're antsy. You can't tell. Or then when you really get advanced, you can watch them where, all right, I know he's dropping. That foot right there is a little bit lighter than usual.
Right.
I used to, it was comical. It's a game inside the game is the way I look at film study and honestly going to the next level as far as the league.
And taking your game to the next level. Like, so when you talk about taking your game to the next level, for me, it was like after 5-6 years, it's like, okay, how is this offensive coordinator going to attack me? What is this offensive coordinator? How is he? What is his game plan like? Because they're very arrogant. They're always going to do the same thing. I'm not saying defensive coordinators aren't,
they are.
but offensive coordinators are very arrogant. And they're going to do things within their scheme just because it's their scheme and they think it's going to work. And, I used to love playing guys like that.
No doubt. And that right there to me is funny because if they weren't doing that, I used to treat it as such.
Right.
I used to recognize my deficiencies all the time. Like, all right, I got a smaller D lineman. They're probably going to game me this week. Yeah, I was a bigger guard.
How they're going to attack you.
I knew it. Even if they weren't talking about it, I was like, okay, if they're not talking about it in the defensive, like team defensive meeting, they're at least talking about it in the D-line meeting.
Yeah.
Guys, you got a big guy. We got to move him this week. I was so adamant about don't get beat inside. Make him run through me. I would 1-2 set. Now choose. Because you can bore me all you want to. Like, the ball's going to be gone by the time you get me to the quarterback. It was those things that honestly keep you in the league and just elevates your game to your point to where it's like, all right, I can stick around if I continue to do this year in and year out.
Sure.
This is great. I'm just going to sit here and let y'all talk ball for the next 4 hours and just drink my coffee.
No, man. We talking about we mentioned the meeting stuff.
Yeah.
I brought it up,
and it's and just one last thing to add on to that. Like in my mentality was like, if they're not game planning for me, it's gonna be a problem.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a problem.
Hey, it was that, and you're right. Offensive coordinators, they did do that too, Keith, because we had a coach, man. It wasn't necessarily the OC that did it, but each coach played their part. O-line coach, run game coordinator. Munch, what you got for us? The receivers, hey, this is what they do, blitzing out the side. But the running back coach, though, he used to come up to the meeting and give his breakdown in each guy, the scouting report. You get the 11 or 12 that's up there. And he'd go through everybody, and his last person, he'd get the red laser. This guy right here, this our candy bar.
Hey, sometimes it's just your day.
Yeah.
Sometimes it is your day.
The level of disrespect.
You know how it goes. Like, hey.
Wow.
No, and
It's a sweet treat.
Yes, exactly. Everybody want to bite. Everybody want to bite. And I was just thinking to myself, he doing this in our team room.
That's funny.
What the hell is going on the other side over there?
Yeah.
What are they saying about me? And I was psychotic like that. I used to think, all right, I'm either going to lose my job or somebody trying to get me.
That's funny.
That's how I stayed in, man. Just, you not going to candy bar me,
No, it's never a
You
thought.
never going to candy
See,
bar
I
me.
thought I was this legit as like a high school track runner. And so I would I would think about who I was racing that week, and I'd be running up the stairs to like go to bed. And I'm like, I'm going to get you, Dylan. I'm going to get you. I'm like the guy that I'm like racing that week that I need to beat. But we didn't watch film. So.
But you know what though? Like, it's a true thing. Depending on you're putting it out there. You're visualizing it.
Right.
Like if y'all don't know if you're MMA, but like the Skywalker, how he entered. There's this clip of him coming into the ring the night before the fight. So for athletes, you were an athlete, Will.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
still
all about
is.
the visualization of it before you can go out and do it, because I could never see myself as one of the best linebackers on my team or in the league
Right.
at the time,
Yeah.
if that's not what I'm going for, in my mind. So, you see those things way in advance. So, that's dope.
Yeah, for real.
Coming up on today's show, ESPN talked to NFL executives about the free agent quarterback class. And a couple of guys, including a former Titan who are likely on the move this offseason. I want to get into that later on in the show. Plus, I want to give y'all the chance to react to Michigan and Wisconsin. Everything going on at the end of that game. And
It's 2 times. Like, come on, man.
how much, I want to know how much you guys would be motivated by, my coach stepped out of line, but, my coach has my back a little bit.
Yeah, 100%.
I want to get into that later on in the show. Plus, Mike Giardi of NFL Network was on the Buck Rising show yesterday, and basically just in the middle of a 15-minute interview threw out the fact so nonchalantly that he expects Tom Brady to unretire. So,
Season of lies,
from
man.
from two former NFL players sitting in the room, I want to know how hard it is to unretire, because that sounds like a not so great time. I mean, the longer you go, obviously, the harder it would be, and he's probably still working out after 2 or 3 weeks. But
It's also position. Well, we can
well,
get
that's
into
fair.
it after the break or
Yeah.
whenever you want to. Well, Keith, I don't know about you.
Look, man, I'll just say before we really get in position, it's definitely about
Definitely.
position.
right. Tennessee in the win column, like we mentioned off the top last night as well, 80-61 win over Missouri, and my arena is going to be crazy on Saturday.
Thompson Boling.
That's right.
Arena.
The video, there's video of Ron Slay from last week going like this game this weekend's it's not in William Bowling, it's in Thompson Bowling, and my whole family is like, that's the greatest thing I've ever seen.
Hey.
A little name drop, man. For a while, after I realized your last name was spelled just like Thompson Bowling,
Yeah.
and you went to UT, your family went to UT.
Yeah.
What you thought?
Yo,
Keith?
you're royalty.
So
You're
apparently-
royalty.
That's
Apparently-
what I'm saying.
apparently
You got
my
bread.
dad-
You got money. What you doing?
What you doing here with us?
Hey, all I could do for my sport was turn left and occasionally right. So that's your value goes down a lot more when you don't really hit anybody. But no, it's gonna be a fun show today. We're gonna talk a lot of football, and look, it's gonna be fun just to talk ball with you guys in an off season, because last time Keith and I did this, we were getting ready for the
Playoffs.
Monday of Titans Bengals before that week.
Yeah.
And honestly, I almost have more fun just sitting here and telling stories of off seasons past and NFL combines past and stuff like that. So
What they rather hear anyway, Will.
it's true.
It's off season.
They don't want to hear us list things,
Let us know.
list things and
Yeah,
lying.
for
Well, we're not going to do either of those things. So, coming up, though, we're going to get into these NFL quarterbacks that are free agents this offseason, and one in particular that I would not have expected to hear this about. But one quarterback in particular who a former NFL executive expects to be a starter again, plus a new place for Marcus Mariota.
Sheesh.
And all this stuff. We'll do that. We got a fun show for you coming up today. Will Boling, Ramon Foster, Keith Bulluck hanging out with you. We'll continue coming up next on 104.5 The Zone. JMart Ramon on 104.5 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors here in Nashville. Will Boling sitting in for Jason Martin this morning alongside Ramon Foster and Keith Bulluck. Andrew Malone, our producer on this Wednesday. I had to make sure that it was Wednesday as I say that.
Yeah, it's Wednesday, man.
You're used to this schedule. I'm not.
Well, I had a couple days off, so it kind of threw me off. Like, it's today Tuesday. Like when I tweeted out this morning, I was like, yeah, it's hump day.
Yeah.
So I'm locked in now.
It probably feels like a Tuesday to you.
Yeah, it feels like a Tuesday for real.
Yeah.
Feel like a Tuesday.
It feels like it's actually late start for me today.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, for my kids, because I drive my kids to school in the morning, so I'll be getting a little extra hour. But as I was telling Ramon, sometimes I just get up. Sometimes I'm up at 4. I'm always up before 6.
For real.
I'm one of those people, like, if I'm up, I'm not just going to lay in the bed. I'm going to just go ahead and get my day started, even if it consists of just going downstairs and just chilling for an hour before everybody gets up. But, yeah,
See, that's that dad alone time right there.
That's right.
Need that.
Makes sense.
Or you necessarily see, Will, you're not ready for this.
Well, no,
life,
and I'm like a couple phases away from being close to being ready for that life.
You might be about that life, but you ain't ready for it.
Straight up.
I'm trying to avoid it at all costs.
Keep on. What you say? Keep on being about that life, King.
It's going to catch up on you.
I love it. 615-737-1045 if you want to jump in this morning. So Jeremy Fowler wrote an interesting piece on ESPN.com talking about available quarterbacks. A lot of teams that need quarterbacks, and there are a lot of available quarterbacks that are kind of fringe starters and kind of backups.
Right.
I'm going to hit you with one off the top here, though, that
It's one I'm going to say before you get there.
Yeah.
No way. No way. And when you get to him, I'm going to be like, yeah, I got a homeboy of mine that will fight you for that statement. And Fowler. Go ahead, though.
So the first one is Mitch Trubisky.
Yep, him.
So, all right, I figured that's where we were going here.
Him.
So NFL executives think that Mitch Trubisky, a guy who's 29 and 21 as a starter, could be a starting quarterback in the NFL again.
You know what? Let me go. I'll go first.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
contact.
at Super Bowl week, I went to this American Cancer Society event down in Palm Beach. It was great. And Mitchell Trubisky was there.
Okay.
And, I had a couple drinks, so
Sure.
I asked him a question, how did he feel a lot of pressure being a first-round draft pick and just, thrust it into the fire? Like, you know what I mean? I didn't want to ask him about being a bust or anything. I just wanted to hear, what I'm saying? And, it was a lengthy conversation, but the short of it was, what stuck out to me was he started more games his rookie year than he started in his whole college career. Yeah. So he said that being in Buffalo is giving him an opportunity to kind of sit back and grasp all the things that he did wrong, some of the things that he did right, and being with the coach that really was trying to help him develop. So I'm not sitting here saying I believe in Mitchell Trubisky. I'm just interested to see how he comes out if he does get another shot, because he did make sense, getting thrown right in the NFL after only having 11 to 12 college starts and hadn't really started since high school. So, I ain't making excuses for the kid, but this is what he said out of his own mouth. So he was making excuses for himself.
Right. The way you asked him that, though, I think, number one, very respectful. Like, I don't know how you to ask somebody, man, how you feel about them saying you were? You can say it as if you're not.
Hey,
saying.
Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes are pretty good, but hey.
How you feel about them calling you a buzz?
I was very careful about the way I asked it.
But okay, so whose fault is that, though, as far as thrusting him into it? Because I feel like now, from the time you came in and got drafted till like I came in 2009, I feel like there was a switch.
Yeah.
The money demanded these young quarterbacks, and I can go Stafford, I can go Bradford. I can go. Who are other quarterbacks?
Harrington.
I mean, even Peyton. I mean, not Peyton, but Eli, Phillip, Ben.
Yeah, Joey Harrington got paid, bro.
Remember how they were coming in and getting broke off? And it was a lot of, and that's where the rookie pay scale came into.
Like 63 mil, like out of college.
Bradford.
I never even getting on a night.
It's crazy.
Not even, and I didn't understand it as a young guy, seeing like the reports. Well, these rookie quarterbacks hadn't done anything, but then you get into the league, you're like, dog, you just got way more than this 12-year dude, and you ain't even played a snap yet. So the demand switched around that time. Was it 08, 09? You said Harrington got a bag, though, to where the demand for the money said, if you're going to get this, you better be ready to play like right now. So the league kind of forced him into that role of the franchise quarterback got to start day one. Most quarterbacks, even if they were number one overall, they still sat for a little bit to where it's not afforded anymore.
Yeah, just keep it local. Steve McNair, sat almost 2 years before he really
as a first rounder,
like a top 5 pick.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. I was a number 1 pick here. I sat 2 years,
but you played special teams or something to grow.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Exactly. But you weren't just quarterbacks were just being thrown onto the field, and they never really got a chance to develop, never really got a chance to see the game. You're coming in at 22, 23, and expected to be the leader. I kind of like what they're doing with the kid out in San Francisco, Trey Lance.
Who's a veteran team. Yeah. His whole entire offensive line been in the league for a while. His skill guy going to Debo.
Right. He's learning the game. Right.
Yeah.
He's learning the game, the different ways he can utilize his weapons as a quarterback, the different things that he sees. And I'm sure Jimmy Garoppolo was definitely a help to him. Jimmy Garoppolo knows he's going to get a job somewhere else, so he's not going to be one of those, hide my paper type people.
Right.
Yeah.
Mitch Trubisky seems like a guy that NFL executives and scouts are always going to love because the ability and the ceiling is there. It's just a matter of, can you put it all together within the right scheme for a guy that has kind of had it hit out of him. So, I mean, literally by the group that he was playing with in Chicago. Like we've talked about this with Marcus Mariota a lot, who we're going to get to here in a second. Like at the quarterback position, confidence being as important as it is, if you go and have a couple of tough years to start your career, is it tougher at that position to come back from that? Or is it just tough to,
somebody's blocked for one? Yeah.
You talk about visualizing things, too. Like, all you can visualize of your time in the NFL is just getting hit and losing games.
But just the keys that they throw you when you become the guy. Like, watching the way, let's say if my starting quarterback was out and the backup was in, the way they surround him to be like, hey, protect us. You know what I'm saying? Like, even if the guy ain't got a start under his belt, the backup comes in as a starter and everybody surrounds him. So I can imagine what it's like for the franchise guy that's got to look. You're supposed to look at Mitch Trubisky's situation. He went to Chicago, a football haven, where they've been looking for somebody since Devin Hester ran that touchdown back. Like, like imagine that pressure of, look, hey, here you go. We need you. Like, you got to go save us. So that pressure of trying to perform, number one. But two, like Keith said, you ain't even learned the playbook, the schemes. We talked about defensive coordinators. Like, the thing about it, and I know coaches do this too at the combine or just players, they'll buddy up to a guy at his pro day, workout, combine, just to see what gets him going. And eventually, they know they're not going to draft him, but they're going to use all of that against him. So he's behind not just the 8 ball. He ain't even put his 50 cents on the pool table to start playing yet.
And then to add to that, we always, on the outside looking in, we think about the player. But no, a lot of these coaches suck. Like, straight up. They straight up suck. So it's like, like anyone can relate. Like, if you're in a math class, math is hard. Yeah. You know what I mean? But if you have the right teacher, you might come away with a 80 something. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to have that 63 average. I might have the 85 average. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? It's not an A, but at least, look, B work get me through. You know what I'm saying? So with these young quarterbacks, I feel a lot of these offensive coordinators, they get an opportunity to be coordinators, and they want to run their offense. Right. This is my offense. This is what we're gonna do. I'm gonna force a circle into a square, and that leads to terrible quarterback play because you're not giving them something simple to work with. Josh McDaniels is a great example how it just seems as if, he can simplify the game. And I'm sure Belichick has something to do with that game plan as well. But look, they've been working together for over a decade, so they know what to do with a young guy playing quarterback. So coordinators play a role too.
That's interesting that Keith said that, because I was talking to a coach about 2 weeks ago, and I wanted to have this conversation because it correlated to the Flores conversation a little bit, but he brought it full circle to where it was just a coaching thing. You made a point about you can just get a trash coach. I'll be real. I had a real trash offensive line.
There are trash coaches out there, man. It's crazy.
Like you said, putting a square into a circle. Like, he had the whole entire offensive line just doing stupid things. And I was just like, I don't play like that. He don't play like that. He does, and maybe he can, but not everybody. But in talking to this veteran position coach offensively, not a head coach for the people to think I was talking to the head coach. No, not him. There's a guy on the team that I know and respect, and we had a long conversation. We were speaking about the Flores, and I was like, you know what? Why? For, a black assistant. And he was just like, moan in general. He was like, to Keith's point about coaches, OCs, DCs, he was like, in order to get to a certain point in your career, you got to get close enough to a guy to where they actually open the door for you and teach you what they actually are trying to spill out. And I was like, really? He was like, you got to think, coaches, OCs, DCs especially, when they get in that position, they're really trying to protect themselves to show either they're the reason why you're succeeding or you're the reason why they're failing. He was like, it's not necessarily they give you everything, because if they give you everything, then you can take their job. So he's like, you got to have a very sure OC or DC and head coach. He was like, and not only that, he was like, you got to go study the game yourself. So imagine a quarterback coach who's as smart and know the game as good as the OC, but he don't know the system.
Right.
That can really mess up a young quarterback or a young left tackle or a young running back when the running back coach can't teach him the protections because the OC just says, hey, get here, learn it, teach it to him. Right. Like, that can happen, to Keith's point about
starts from the top down.
It starts from the top down, and coaches are very, what do you want to call them, cynical, protective, like egos.
There's a lot of ego there, I would imagine.
Egos for sure.
It was just an interesting conversation about Trubisky. Like, when Keith was like, what if it was his quarterback coach?
Right. Well, and that's part of this article, too, is that executives saying that the offense in Chicago was rigid and very scripted. That didn't really fit Trubisky's skill set. The landing spot for him, potentially, the New York Giants, going back to where his offensive coordinator is now, obviously, and Brian Daboll, kind of being a backup to Daniel Jones, who that organization still wants to give a fair chance, but it's a pretty good insurance policy to have, given Daniel Jones' injury history, just playing behind a really young offensive lineup there. So interested to see how that possibly works.
I can't believe they're actually giving him more time.
Daniel Jones, man. I was once a Giant, always a Giant.
That's
1 year there, but Daniel Jones, it's time to go, because my friends back home, they're real die-hard Giants fans, and they're ready for Daniel Jones to get up out of there.
Interesting.
That's crazy. I actually liked him coming out of college, and it's probably because of correlation too.
Yeah,
he was with
Cutcliffe,
and that was the Manning tree and everything else too. So maybe he is just that bad though.
David Cutcliffe now, like the most valuable offensive analyst in college football, because he's the guy that could bring you Arch Manning wherever he goes, which sounds like it's Texas, but anyway.
Arch, I thought it was going to be Alabama.
I mean, that could still change.
I can see him go to UT. Nah, I know that's what is it? The oldest is
which one
son,
is
right?
it?
It's Peyton's nephew.
Peyton's nephew, basically.
Yeah,
there we go. Peyton's nephew. Duh.
So one of these quarterbacks that is apparently going to stay where he is, probably Jameis Winston.
Jameis.
Sean Payton's offensive staff staying put. Offensive coordinator Pete Carmichael still there in New Orleans. Lots of play action for Jameis Winston, who averaged 9.8 yards per drop back since 2019. That's the most in the NFL off of play action passes. I can't really figure him out.
Jameis.
I feel like he's got a pretty high ceiling, but did y'all ever play with a guy like that who could either look like an MVP or, Practice squad guy.
I feel like all quarterbacks,
that's fair.
have their day. He just is a little more consistent with it. But like,
Sure.
look, who's out? Like, what's the dude's name, man? He was here. Yo, look, Jameis should have a job for a long time if Ryan Fitzpatrick and
that's
guys
true.
like this are
That's very
out
true.
there playing.
They're the
and
same
all that
person.
stuff.
They're,
Like,
they're
you know
very
what I'm
similar.
saying?
That's a good
So,
point. I hadn't thought about that.
It's look like regardless what Jameis does next year, he should be in the league for a long time.
I think it's this when it comes down to Jameis. And I got a homeboy that played with him. And during those times when he was in Tampa, and he'd be like, man, I'm telling you, Jameis is the leader you want.
Yeah.
He's the locker room guy.
For sure.
He was like, but he just goes off the rails sometimes, like trying to save himself. You ever met somebody like, no, shh. I know.
Right.
But Jameis will do something on the field where it's like, just hold it. And he'll just tuck the ball and throw it in the air. But he can make every throw. He's got the big arm, mobile enough. He's Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, he's like playmakers they always feel, especially at the quarterback position. Sometimes you just need to be a quarterback and make a smart play.
Yeah.
Sure.
You know what I mean? But you think about guys at the quarterback position that are playmakers, like you've seen them make plays. They're gonna take more chances than the average quarterback. You know what I mean? And then you get the average quarterback, you be like, dang, make some more plays, take some more
Right,
chances.
But that's wild that you say that because honestly, as far as risk goes, what was the difference between what Jameis doing and what Vic was doing? It was risky.
Yeah.
Like those runs, those hits, those splitting defenders type of situation. Steve, another
Out there
one.
making plays, for
It's a
sure.
matter of success rate when it comes down to those things. Like Jameis bailing out and throwing the ball in the air for a pick six, like you can't do that.
That's when you need to be a quarterback.
A quarterback,
You know what I'm saying?
then,
That's
right.
when you need to be a quarterback. So it's a different. You need to know the balance.
I think that was the interesting part of them of him in Tampa Bay is you had so many playmakers around him at the wide receiver position, and OJ Howard just getting in the league at that point too. That you just sometimes you just need quarterbacks not to lose you the game.
That's why they got Tom Brady.
That's right.
They did, and they won a ring right after Jameis.
That's why San Francisco's gonna get Tom Brady.
That's right. I think you're right. Yeah.
Look at Keith with this.
Hey, you guys do this. I be at home
No,
watching.
that's
I'm just sitting there. Look, this pretty obvious, or not obvious, but
I'm with you.
It's like one of those
It
things.
ain't far fetched.
Yeah, like
believe
he's
it.
from there, grew up a 49er fan. They got his daddy got a picture of him with a Joe Montana jersey. He actually is the whole outfit. So look, Tom Brady is the athlete of probably one of the athletes of our generation, at least in football.
Yeah.
He's sitting somewhere with his family, like, you know what? Laughing.
He's
Man, I'm about to go win the Super Bowl with San Francisco.
Looking at the team.
Yeah, because Aaron Rodgers is going to the AFC. They was just there if Jimmy Garoppolo didn't Jimmy Garoppolo.
That's true.
Tom Brady
He
is
missed
going to
another
come
one
and
down
Tom
the line.
Brady.
So even
Tom
with,
Brady's going to hit 44 down the sidelines.
So let's look at this team. Is this?
I'm sorry, well, I didn't mean to
No,
go.
no,
with
no,
it.
you're good. No, this
know
is
what I'm saying? I
we
didn't
were
do
going to
it.
get into this. Hey,
Screw the
let's
free agents,
let's
man.
get it.
I don't really have radio
man.
etiquette. I don't have much radio
Oh,
etiquette.
dude, I love it.
Keith, even better. Screw it, man.
You've come to the perfect show to not have radio etiquette. Am I
I
right?
ain't got no barriers around here.
Yeah.
Keith.
Hey, let's do get a quick break though, because I do want to get into this.
See, Will's the pro. He's the pro.
Hey, no, I'm just here to connect the dots. Yeah, y'all are doing the real work. I'm just gonna drink coffee and tell us when the commercials start.
okay.
So, coming up next, we'll talk more about the Tom Brady stuff. There's a little bit of audio we can play from yesterday on the Buck Rising show of what all is going on here. I think there's an Aaron Rodgers aspect of this conversation too that we get into. And Ramon's
They want that
already
Aaron
shaking his
Rodgers,
head.
Tom Brady Super Bowl, man. All right, we'll wait.
Yeah, we're good.
Look at that's a tease right there.
Radio pros in this building today.
But yo, somebody nationally is gonna take my take, so I'm just letting you know that now.
Keith, if they do, we riot.
Yes.
National radio analysts, turn up your radio after this on 104.5 The Zone. JMart Ramon, powered by All Four Seasons here on 104.5 The Zone, talking free agent quarterbacks. And, well, Tom Brady's kind of a free agent quarterback, too.
Yeah.
And I'm with Keith Bulluck and Ramon Foster with us here as well, too, that I think he's going to be a San Francisco 49er. I'm calling my shot.
He's pulled a Gronk.
I think he has. I mean, imagine if Gronk went with him.
No, they got Kittle.
I know, but what if you had both?
I'm talking about as far as retiring and going to another team.
Like if you had Gronk,
He does got Kittle. God,
if Gronk was just in the red zone, you had Kittle for everything else. I mean, you'd have Kittle in the red zone too, obviously.
You got Kittle. I wouldn't even worry about Gronk.
Yeah.
I mean, look, Gronk goes where Tom goes, but I wouldn't even worry about him. You got Kittle, you got Debo, you got everybody. You have a championship team.
Already.
And it seems that when Tom Brady, it's a trend. When he doesn't play for New England, he plays for championship teams.
Yeah.
True. This is true. I mean, everything he needs. He's got the O-line. He's got Debo Samuels, whatever position he is. He's got 2 running backs besides Debo. He's got a defense. What other better left tackle is in the league than Trent Williams? He's protected. Right tackle they got is pretty good. Their center guard combo.
He's going through every.
You sold me, Keith.
And Trey Lance, if I'm Trey Lance, excuse me, I'm just sorry.
Oh, you're good.
Trey Lance, I want to learn from the GOAT.
Right.
Okay, yeah, cool. I'm going to sit back and take these few mil. I'm liking my lifestyle out here in Santa Clara, Then he's going to have 2 years under his belt as a, just soaking it up.
Right.
And
Which should be the
else?
right process.
Aaron Rodgers did that. He turned out all right.
He did.
It is. It's really fascinating that he's going through the same process as like every guy that works in New England and then retires in Tampa. He goes, oh no, I'm going to go get a place in California now. He's just following the same trajectory of like most of the Patriots fans that loved him his whole career.
So what? Okay, so everybody's had this conversation, I'm sure, at some point when they were together. If Tom does do this, which he's left New England and went and got a ring, if he goes to San Francisco and get a ring, which one was it? Was it Bill or was it Brady? At this point.
Well, look, I would say early in his career, it's the coaching. You know what I mean? It's the coaching. And if you're with Yoda, hanging out with Yoda for 20 years,
That's true.
You're already a Jedi.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you're going to go off and be more of a Jedi. You know what I'm saying? I think if he goes to San Francisco, and he will win the Super Bowl. If he goes to San Francisco, I'm going to Vegas and putting $100 on it.
So
we got till about May.
Yeah.
For sure.
He's going to be chilling for a while, though.
Yeah, he is. So Mike Giardi was on the Buck Rising show yesterday, NFL Network analyst who has always been familiar with everything Brady's been doing and kind of, I mean, he was on the front end of when he left New England. This was Mike Giardi yesterday on 104.5 The Zone talking about Brady coming back.
And I would call your opinion an informed opinion if I wanted to give you actual credit, which I'm loath to do. Do you think that Tom Brady unretires?
I do.
You do?
I do.
Oh God!
Yeah, I put it at like 55%.
Oh no!
If he comes back. Hey, someone pointed out to me, like if you look at the quote unquote retirement post that he had, all that retirement post basically was a goodbye to Tampa.
Yeah, I know. I saw you getting outraged on behalf of Boston because he mentioned none of the people with the Patriots, none of the fans, none of the ownership, nobody. It was hilarious. Wow.
I mean, that was pretty low budget, and then the Brady Bobos come to his defense and say like, oh, what did he say 2 years ago? Okay, he didn't retire 2 years ago. If he truly was retiring and he decides to not thank Kraft, Belichick, all the people in the organization that helped him along the way, like, yeah, that's pretty low budget, pretty low budget.
So here's where I am with this. That's Mike Giardi of NFL Network here on our station yesterday. When has Tom Brady ever done anything without like a 10-year master plan of this is how I'm going to do it and this is what it's going to look like? That dude is way too organized to botch his retirement announcement.
Well, yeah, I mean, look, first of all, let's talk about the announcement. That's not his retirement announcement. That's him, like, the season's over. That's him retiring from the situation he was in.
Right.
So you think he's going to play for an organization for 20 years to give him all of this and just not say anything to them in his retirement announcement. That's what the media and other people made it to be, his retirement announcement. That was him, like Jardy said, they said goodbye to Tampa. He said goodbye to Tampa. So I don't necessarily think that was a retirement announcement. Look, I think he left his options open. And with San Francisco, we know Jimmy Garoppolo is not going to be there. They have a second-year guy that we don't know if he can get him to the promised land. Tom Brady was born right there.
Right down the street.
Joe Montana was his guy. Now he's the greatest of all time.
Yeah.
Now let's go see if I can go win one at home. But LeBron did it. LeBron went back to Cleveland.
Sure.
Tom Brady's going back to Cleveland moment. All right.
Looking at this.
Hey, yo,
this
are you?
roster.
Oh, this is all getting recorded, right?
Yeah,
we're
you're
going to
good.
play this back in the summer with Tom Brady. All right.
We're giving you 100% credit for this one, too.
Mark down.
Yeah, what's today's date?
6:52 a.m. on February the 23rd.
Yeah, 2/23/22.
That's right.
Yeah.
Keith called it while drinking orange lava burst.
I'm with you. I think it's going to happen.
Why? At this point, I'm with you. Like, why not?
With Brady, I will believe he's done playing when I see him on week 1. No, when I see him in week 6.
Because
sitting on the couch doing, crypto commercials and not playing.
Think about, who was it? Was it Weddle that came back? Which safety was it that came back?
Eric Weddle.
Eric Weddle. Weddle came back 2 years. And the thing is this, though. Well, I say that. James Harrison also retired. Got his severance check and played the next year after getting his severance.
He played with y'all?
Yeah, he came back with us. You're retired after you get your severance, but you can still submit papers. Like, you got a year waiting time, basically.
Right.
I sat out a year.
And then you got your severance.
I don't know. I remember when I got that check, though. I was like, what's this for?
Little party gift.
What would it cost to get Tom Brady away? Because they still have his rights, correct?
I think after a certain time, he might get cut. He's like off the roster.
Yeah, because they have to make
At the
a roster
league year.
move.
Because he's still under. He has one more year on his original contract with him, right?
At this point, though, would you have bad blood with Tom and not release his rights? He did bring you a ring first time since 2002.
I think Tampa Bay's classier than that.
To that point of who's able to do this type of stuff.
Yeah.
Position. He's a quarterback.
Sure.
You're right. They do have his rights, I think, for one more, but it's also the situation where it's.
This guy's 45 years old.
Yeah. And then they probably want him off the books, too. How much cash they have left because they got to try to retain what's the wide receiver in Tampa?
Evans?
Not Evans, Godwin.
Chris Godwin. Yeah,
He said he's the
free agent.
number one priority. Tampa right now has $6.8 million in free cap. And Tom Brady number sits at his
30 something, right?
32. His dead cap is 32. But I'm sure after a designated cut date,
Right.
that'll probably be reduced by a lot.
Coming up, we will reset the headlines for you to begin hour 2. Plus, Aaron Rodgers loves all the attention that he is getting right now. So we're going to get into all that stuff. And plus, I've got a question for you guys of what is more likely, Aaron Rodgers leaving Green Bay or Tom Brady unretiring, which we've already gone into half of this, but I want to get into the conversation of is Rodgers actually going to leave the Packers, or does this guy just love attention? We'll do that coming up next. Hour 2, JMart Ramon, 104.5 The Zone.
Baker Burwell is the disability brokerage financial professionals can count on to deliver disability insurance education, products, and services. If I ask you, what is your most valuable asset? Most times you're going to tell me it's my home. But think again, it is your income that help pays for that home. And this may sound crazy, but let me explain it to you. Let's say you make $150,000 a year and you're 35 years old. Even if you never get a pay raise, you'll make $4.5 million in your working lifetime. And I'm guessing your house is a little bit less than $4.5 million, even here in Nashville. As a former pro athlete, it wasn't a thought about ensuring my income or my career, but I'm sure the same applies to you as well. Have you ever considered what would happen if you couldn't continue your career due to health or injury? For 2 or 3% of your income, you can insure it up to 60% tax-free. Don't let your next paycheck be your last paycheck. And one thing we've learned is this: bad things do happen to good people. But Baker Burwell is the best resource for financial advisors and insurance agents when providing solutions in income protection. They are a trusted friend working with your trusted advisor to make sure you are properly insured. And the thing about them, they are local and want to see their community be protected. So give them a call at 615-309-5958 or visit the website at bakerburwell.com.
It is 7:03. Good morning. I'm Will Boling. Kennedy Chandler had a game-high 23 points to lead numbered 17 Tennessee to an 80-61 road win over Missouri last night. Chandler added 8 rebounds, 6 assists, and a couple of steals as well for the Vols, who pick up their 20th win and 11th in the SEC this season. Victor Bailey Jr. had 11 points off the bench. That was his most offensive outing, biggest offensive outing since scoring 14 back in November. Next up for the Vols, the top team in the SEC, the third-ranked Auburn Tigers, who host Ole Miss tonight. Javon Quinterly scored 17 of his 19 points after halftime to help 24th-ranked Alabama rally from a 9-point deficit in the first half and hold off Vanderbilt 74-72 last night in Memorial Gym. Tanner Janot scored 2 third-period goals for the Nashville Predators, including their first shorthanded goal of the season in the Florida Panthers' 9-game home winning streak, 6-4 last night in Sunrise, Florida. David Riddick made 44 saves in his first start since January the 18th for the Preds. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone. Hour number 2 of the show here on a Wednesday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. We are JMart Ramon, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. We are not JMart Ramon. That's Ramon. I'm Will Boling. Keith Bulluck with us as well. Andrew Malone, our producer. Yeah. A very well-deserved day off for Jason Martin, for Jonathan Schaefer. You can hang out with us at 615-737-1045, where we have been talking a little bit of Tom Brady, some NFL free agent quarterbacks this offseason. And I've got a question for the guys coming up here in a minute of which is more likely to happen. Aaron Rodgers plays in a different uniform next year, or Tom Brady plays in a different uniform next year. Going to be interesting. One thing is for sure, Aaron Rodgers loves this so much, and I kind of hate it. Like, I have more fun watching him play quarterback than most other guys, probably not named Patrick Mahomes, but why is this guy the way that he is?
You, Aaron Rodgers.
Thank you.
Power, man. I'll be real with you. That's why, as far as league business goes, I hate it when they left it to a guy like me to be a rep. I absolutely hated it because those guys move the ticker from the moment they walk into the building as a number one, or the moment they ascend to number one, like Dak, or even a guy like Fitzpatrick, or just any of those Nick Foles that ascend to being number one. League business gets done when quarterbacks are involved in it, period. On one side of the line or the other. If the quarterback say, hey, let's go play ball, cool. Everybody going to play ball. They say, hey, sit. We're going to sit back and watch what league business does. It's these moments in which, in that last CBA deal, when Aaron came to the room, I was, oh, good. And then I started realizing what was going on. I was like, whoa,
yeah,
you're way too influential to not be a part of these conversation talks. So here we are, 2.0's offseason of 2022, and who's ruling the airwaves as far as the dead time of the offseason? Aaron Rodgers.
The dude could also rule the airwaves with one Instagram post, which is crazy to me.
To me, it was more of that diet he had going on. Did he read what he did?
Man, ain't nobody paying attention to Aaron Rodgers' ass. I think he's a troll.
Yeah.
That's all. You know what I mean? Last year, he became the troll of the end. He's trolling because for what you said, Ramon, he got the power.
Yep.
He's trolling. So, to the question, I don't think he's not going back to the Packers. We were surprised that we went back last year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He went back in the 48th hour last year. So going back to the Packers, I think, is out of the question. He'll definitely play, but he's going to troll. He's going to go, if I'm him, I'm going to do like Tom Brady and go to the best situation. And he's not going to San Francisco because Green Bay would be foolish.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
What's wild about him last year, and even during the season as him being a troll, It's the simple fact that he wanted more. He wanted more conversation with the front office. They gave it to him. Like, people in the media in Green Bay and nationally will ask him, "Are you satisfied with how the front office handled everything?" Like, they were asking him ownership stuff, which is,
It's like the NBA.
if you got it, run with it.
I fully agree. Like, look, I'll never forget. Like, when I played here, the last year of my contract, my last year, it was year 10, last year of my contract. I knew that I wasn't coming back. You know, in the beginning of the season, I really knew at the halfway point that I wasn't coming back.
You knew it already.
Yeah, I was having an all-pro season. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like, it's all good. I'm not tripping. You know, I was balling out. And then I tear my ACL week 15. And I'm like, man, it's over. Because my contract year, I'm having a Pro Bowl year.
You knew it.
I'm about to get broke off again.
Yeah.
But we played Miami. We won in overtime, and I'll never forget. I was walking into walking up the ramp, and Mike Reinfeld, who was our GM at the time, was like, "Oh man, you okay? So it'll be all right."
Consoling you a little
yeah,
bit,
and I was like, "Man, y'all got lucky." I told him straight up, "Y'all got lucky," because there wasn't gonna be no hometown discount.
No.
You know what I'm saying? Especially after the way I felt. That I was, but
the situation should have already been handled.
So my point saying that is that when you have the power, you better hold on to it.
Yeah.
Make the right decisions when you have it, because when they have it, they ain't doing nothing in your favor.
No favors.
What's the weirdest cleanse you did during a season? Because Aaron Rodgers probably just did a weirder one.
I don't know if I did a weird cleanse. I just trained harder. I'd go work out at the heat of the day, like 1 o'clock start.
Why in the world would you do that?
I told you in the sixth.
That's awful.
That's when you're gonna be out there.
Yeah, that's when I was gonna be out there. Number one, it was the time I knew I was gonna get the most sweat, and it was gonna honestly. Again, we talked about this in the sixth. Like, the mental part of the game. Like, if I can make it through a Tennessee summer with humidity, heat, and just that turf just being fire hot, I can handle Western PA. And it was the time I was gonna drop the most water weight and all that type of stuff. Like, it was a part of it. Like,
really?
Yeah.
Man.
I've been to Latrobe. Actually, that's where I met Ramon the first time. I did the Bill Walsh coaching intern.
Sure
and
did.
For what he's saying about if he's training out here,
right,
and he goes to Latrobe, PA, and Western PA, it's very cool. It's like the hottest day, I think, in the 3 weeks I was there. It might have been like a cool 85.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know what I mean? It's
might
cool.
Get a haze of
humidity.
humidity.
It's gonna rain a little bit, some humidity, but
Sure.
it is not gonna affect this man or the guys there, because of anybody training, especially for the Steelers. They're getting right, and they're in places where it's very temperate to where you're gonna play in September, like opening day. Right. You know what I mean? So whereas here in Tennessee, like, we had to adjust camp days sometimes. Sometimes we'll have an early morning practice and then have a practice at 6. Jeff will make it a night practice so the fans could come just because it's going to be 107 with the heat index, the humidity thing. So it's crazy.
It was weird, but I always ask those questions to guys that played in Tampa or Tennessee or somewhere just fire hot. I was like, man, when do y'all practice? We was 255 every day no matter what, because like Keith said, the temperature just allowed it to – I mean, it sucked because it was practice, and you leave the field drenched in sweat and water and stuff.
Right.
I think that was one of the reasons we had a physical practice, too. Like, if the weather ain't bad, well, we're going to make y'all hit every doggone day.
Yeah, I like how Coach Tomlin ran his camp. It was, I was actually my first time being around football since I had retired. So I hadn't been around football for like 7 years, you know what I mean? So, yeah, here camps were hot. Sometimes they had to be staggered. I don't even know what the bubble was for, because we definitely didn't go up in there. It was a different beast here. And I remember the one year we went up to Austin P to practice, how we had like an away from, camp situation, away from home camp situation, because our camp was always here. Whereas we're talking about Ramon, they would go to somewhere like an hour or so away from Pittsburgh. So we did that one year, and that was the last time we did that.
Yeah. So to that point, you ever did a weird cleanse workout regimen?
Yeah, I mean, cleanse. So I would always go to Vegas July 4th weekend, and that would be like my last. You know what I mean? But I would leave Monday and then train in Arizona with Donovan McNabb for 2 weeks.
Okay.
So that first day or two, that's the purge. That's because I'm going out there. No matter how hard I went in Vegas, because obviously I had been training, but that's my last little. You know what I mean. So no matter how hard I went in Vegas, we're gonna be out there at 8 a.m. the next day. I'm still feeling the effects of 4 days in Vegas, and my whole thing is get through that.
You can do anything.
Do anything. I'm in shape. I'm gonna be out here for another 9 days, getting it in. I just need to get this off me for 2 days. But I was always a skinny guy, so there was no cleansing or anything like that. I actually had to put weight on 2 weeks before camp, so I would have a McDonald's diet. But I would eat double cheeseburger, number twos.
Sounds pretty good.
Double cheeseburger meals. For a week straight, just to get that extra 6-7 pounds. Yeah, straight up.
That's weird because you think of weight stuff when they talk about the league, weigh in.
Yeah.
You want to talk about anxiety from one end of the spectrum to the other. Big guys, last ones, the first ones on the scale. I've seen smaller dudes, man. I'm talking about pace the locker room. Pace it. Go to the weight room. I saw a dude literally put a 5-pound weight in his pants to try to catch weight.
Too. I've seen that too. I've seen guys not make their weight and be distraught. Like distraught because they really put that work in to make their weight. And then the strength coach is like, and then they really be down because they really, really tried to make their weight.
I've seen dudes also be on the verge of having a $500,000 weight incentive.
Yeah.
And be too off. Just, you know what I'm saying? Be too off.
Just drink a little bit more water that morning, and honestly, you're almost there.
Truth be, at that point for a big dude, he'd already shrunk.
That's fair.
But I'll say this too: when you're in the league long enough and you create relationships, that's what the league is at a certain point. Like I saw him get, all right, I got you.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine losing $500,000.
I remember
behind a number
at UT. I was good friends with Kyle Alexander, our center on the basketball team, while I was a student athlete at Tennessee, and. The strength coach, when he got there as a sophomore, would make him send him a picture of his plate before he ate breakfast, and then after he ate breakfast every single day.
See, that's
so
why.
He could not. The strength coach would either sit with him at the table in Smokies, like the UT Athletic Dining Hall in college. They'd either sit with him and wait for him to finish his meal like you're a 5-year-old. Or he would have to send a before and after picture of his plate, and then he could leave and go to class.
See, that's where the anxiety comes in from. Where Keith is saying seeing guys get crushed, that number. And then of course we ran a system in Pittsburgh where it was just all right, if you're close, you'll be good, but just don't go 10 above or 10 below.
Yeah, right.
And at the end of the day, it comes down to performance. If you performing and it's not slowing you down and hindering this. Play ball, man. I that's how it usually goes.
So I want to get a break here and then talk more about this Aaron Rodgers stuff and get into his quotes yesterday on the Pat McAfee show. And I'm just curious from guys inside the locker room, how much you can see through the antics of what a guy like this does, or how much you're not really worrying about it because you're just thinking about yourself and trying to, stay in your own lane. So I want to get to that, do kind of the Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers side of this thing, because we got two veteran quarterbacks who are both acting like, I don't know, they're 8-year-olds that want more attention at recess. Is basically how we're talking about this. So let's get a quick break. JMart Ramon, Will Boling, Keith Bulluck, Ramon Foster with you here at 104.5 The Zone. JMart Ramon, 104.5 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons here in Nashville, alongside Ramon Foster and Keith Bulluck. I am Will Boling. You can join us at 615-737-1045. Talking about Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady. Why are they like this? I don't know, Ramon, you look at me a lot and say, why are you like this sometimes?
Why are you this way?
Who are you more annoyed with this offseason?
I'm not going to say I'm annoyed with anybody.
Okay.
And I can, you know what? Why are they like this? I mean, look, they understand how the league works. You know,
They know they got the power.
That, and they just understand how these owners work, how the league works.
Yeah.
They're a commodity. They're the highest commodity.
Right.
You know, we've both been in it, so we understand that, you know, at the end of the day, everybody's expendable. So, you know, they're at the top of the food chain. They know their careers are kind of almost done, so they're having fun with it. Like, outside looking in, it's kind of entertaining because, you know, they're both trolls, and I'm sure they talk to each other and, you know, yo, hey, what do you want to do? Like, I wouldn't even be surprised if they had some, like, Beavis and Butthead stuff going on.
You going to switch conferences again? Where am I at on it? It's just, to me, I'm like, all right, I get it. You got the power. You got the sway when it comes to Aaron. Like, I think Tom has kind of washed himself through just showing this. This is one of those points, too, where I was just like, all right, Tom is where I wish we'd have got out of Kobe more. You know? Like, we saw him transition where in New England, at least to me, because how we had to go through them he was more the villain. Now we're seeing a Tom that's a guy. He's a part of every team's process. You see him joking and on people's phones and stuff like that. And it's just like that personality we get to see, I'm not really bothered by. Aaron Rodgers, I feel like it's the same thing. I know who he is, so I know how to look at his situations, his headlines. Like the diet we talked about that he's doing, like, why even bring that up on Pat McAfee's show? You know what I'm saying? Like, I never brought up my stuff that I did. It's like, I just went training. Or if I went somewhere, you might see me post a story or something like that. But it wasn't enough to be talked about. And maybe that goes to that position of power. Like, I know I can do these things. You know, the Dave show, I didn't know I couldn't do that. Right. Like, that's Aaron Rodgers. And Tom's at a point, who really gonna tell him no? Right. That's like Nick Saban when it comes to college football. Nick warns people, y'all want to pay players. No, it was before then. You want to do the portal? Okay, well, I got a lot of influence as far as players and winning championships and getting them to the league. If you don't fix the portal and they can leave and they don't have to sit out, I'm going to take him. I got him. I need him. Like,
he just got a player from Georgia that just beat him in the national title. That just transferred
as much as we talk about Henry Toto, he was a benefit to their defense this year. You know what I'm saying? Right. Like, so when you given that type of range to just be able to move the way you need to, as a part of the play. And this is where when people like the NFL's turning to the NBA, well, you know what? That group realized their power. Yeah. It goes through the players. Yeah, it goes through the mindset. If you're going to make this many billions off of me, well, I can at least control the media. One thing that we've always brought up, players have now gotten to a point where a lot of them got more followers and more influence than the actual team that they're on.
Yeah.
So I mean, why not use it almost?
Yeah, my bad.
No, you good.
To add on, I think that I look at it like this. You know, Aaron Rodgers is the show. You know what I mean? Tom Brady's been the show. When he was in New England, when he went to Tampa, like, he's been the show. So Tom said his little thing. He's stepping out of the way. Aaron Rodgers, I feel like, you know, I say he's the show because even last year, what was he saying? Oh, I'm in Hawaii doing this, and I'm doing yo, who cares what you're doing? Like Ramon said, yo, I was just away for a little bit, you know, taking it easy. But I went on this Indian cleanse from India that they've been doing for thousands of years, and all right, we get it, bro. You know what I mean? He's just adding dialogue to the story. That's really all it is. He could have just said, you know, I was away, I'm trying to get my mind right. He's playing to the narrative that, you know, whatever the show he was on is asking. You know, he's trolling.
This is what's about to happen next. You mentioned that the Indian cleanse. What is it? Pachakarma cleanse?
Sure.
Pachakarma.
Bless you.
Have y'all you heard what it entails?
He's about to brand it.
Exactly.
Man,
Not
you know
only
I'm a
that, but
business man.
how
It's
many-
a brand today.
and it's been around for thousands of years. Like,
They got the Aaron Rodgers Hacha Pacha Kacha cleanse.
so
Now for
gotta get that.
$19.99, you can have it too.
But listen to it. It's 3 days of ghee, or how do you say it, G therapy?
It's ghee.
Consume butter until you evacuate on both ends. Consuming butter.
Who?
Yeah.
Evacuate.
Yeah.
Everything.
Evacuate every top and bottom.
Evacuate.
Yep.
Yeah, throwing up and
And
releasing.
That's
And
what
for
I
that
thought. That's
reason,
the only
I'm
thing
out.
way you can evacuate something. Is wow.
Not only that, there's step 2 of it is 1 day of therapeutic vomiting. When has
I'm out.
vomiting
Come
ever
on.
been therapeutic?
Come on.
Yeah, what?
I don't even like the feeling of that.
No, that's step 2 though. And it gets worse. Like, I don't think there's anything left after
so far, this
this
sounds like a
You
week
know
in
what?
Vegas.
I'm gonna drink 240s and eat McDonald's.
with some wings.
You know what I'm saying?
And
240.
either way, you're gonna be throwing
It's
up,
a
so like you
knockout
might as well
win.
enjoy it.
And this is the other part. This is day 3 of it is, or the next step of it is 1 day of laxative therapy.
Nah, man, he's tripping, man.
Now here we go. Here's another one. 3 days herb drops in his nose.
No wonder him and his girl aren't hanging out anymore.
This is the part that gets you. Day 5, numerous enema days.
Hold on, man.
Nope.
And the last one, of course, has got to be the last thing, is yoga and meditation to get you through hell.
So if you-
Obviously, nobody here has had a colonoscopy.
Oh, I have.
Okay.
have.
You see what I'm saying?
Are
Like,
the 2 youngest guys here the only ones that have had a colonoscopy? Are you
36.
kidding me?
But nah,
Okay.
I have. But
Okay, good.
So what does that have to do with this?
I'm just talking about
Cleansing, yeah,
cleansing your
cleansing.
Right,
system.
but like, did you hear the process?
Oh,
of
I
that?
did. I'm just saying, if we can survive the 1 day of that, you know.
I
Man,
mean,
this is-
this is like
This is way more
This
intense.
is physical, like colonoscopy. You go to the doctor, they hook you up, and then you're out.
yeah,
Yeah, but you got to do a whole day of
Look.
evacuating.
evacuating. Imagine Aaron Rodgers, like you said, like, why? We didn't have to know all of this.
Doing too much.
Absolutely.
So, like, my question for y'all, being in a locker room with a guy like that, how do you interact with a dude like that? Or do you? Like, you're just letting that guy, like, do his thing? Like, hey, as long as this isn't, you're not messing up what we've got on the field, then do whatever you want. I don't care.
It's the off season, like what?
Yeah,
like,
right.
It's the off season. I ain't got nothing to do with what he's doing. You
Sure.
know what I mean? If it's during the season, he's your teammate, he's your brother, you're used to him. Everybody's
Right.
somebody. He's not the only person in there that's weird in that locker room. You know what I'm
So
saying?
there's like, this is like, stuff like this isn't that
it's
uncommon.
like brothers. You're gonna talk about them.
You mentioned his teammates. Well, it's David Bakhtiari, his left tackle, tweeted out the Grand Theft Auto walking, like, here we go with this BS.
Here we
Right,
go
see?
again.
And so with him, the thing and of course we had our antics that happened in Pittsburgh for sure. It was documented. But I'll say this: when we reported for OTAs, those dudes walk in the locker room, nothing happened. Like if something crazy happens, like it became a joke.
Yeah.
More than anything.
Yeah.
I'm sure, like when he walked, dude, what was you thinking with the enema diet? You know what I'm saying? Like that's what's gonna come up. Like, are you okay now? Like, you know how to lock. Like everything is a joke.
If
almost.
anything, you're gonna get ragged. Like they're gonna talk about him.
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean? They're gonna, everything is jokes. Ain't nobody safe in the locker room.
yeah,
And this is, I feel like that y'all have good perspective on this too, because like the people, like in my role in radio or just in any role in radio, that like hot take guy of like, coming up next, why Aaron Rodgers is like distracting from his like, no, like I want to like hear from guys that have actually been in a locker room, like on a team like this. Like, I feel like we care a lot more than like the guys in that room really actually care about.
So, like, okay, this is how big of a distraction Aaron Rodgers was last year.
Yeah.
They got blown out the first game of the season.
Yeah.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
and then the
that's
rest, they had a great season. Like, it just picked up from where they left off the year before. He just had to get some timing, get their butt kicked, get smacked back into reality. The Titan happened to the Titans first game of the season.
Yeah, true.
Boom, 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 and then off and running. So I think, that's all a part of like what you said, with like the hot takes and somebody has a report on something.
I'd almost say it doesn't become a distraction with any of it unless the police is involved. Only time anything ever became a distraction is if the police was involved with something.
Interesting.
Because at that point, you're at the risk of losing games. You know what I'm saying? Or losing that person for the games.
Right.
I'll tell anybody, like, I don't care what you do in the offseason. Do your thing. If you're TikToking, if you're shooting commercials, if you're on the cover of Madden, we've all been a part of somebody on the cover of Madden or been around them. Like, seeing guys just become guys to where they become superstars. And the media portrays them as that too. But at the end of the day, I would tell anybody, whatever you're going to do it. But when it comes to the game, play the game.
Yeah.
Respect the game.
Yeah.
Like, you can do all you want to. Shoot a commercial during the season for all I care.
Yeah.
But as long as you're showing up, I think that's the only thing that matters to guys when it comes down to, us caring about what you're doing.
Yeah, I would say here in Tennessee, like, we definitely had some players that were guys that got bigger. You know what I mean? You had your Vince Youngs, you had your Chris Johnsons. I came in, it was Steve Eddy. That's a whole different era. But, like, stick with those latter guys. And they would go do their things and their Hollywood things and all that stuff. But 9 times out of 10, they felt more comfort, with their guys, with the team and stuff like that. Because unless that's what you are the part of that you want, like the famous part, and the off the field thing,
viral stuff.
Yeah. If that's what you want, you could go get it. But a lot of times, man, that's just fluff. That's more work. That's more work than football.
It is, but like a guy like Juju, for instance, came in, took the league by storm. TikToking was his thing. Bam, all the kids doing it. Yep. The dance he was doing, all of those things. I'll say this though about him, and the same can be said about AJ too. AJ's a little viral and stuff like that on social media at the time. Yeah. When they walk in the locker room or on the field, totally different person.
Sure.
Like keeps like the switch.
Yeah.
That was work, off field stuff.
Right.
But the switch turns off, they go be a football player at those points. Like, those dudes love ball, and I think they respect what the game is affording them. Because at the end of the day, you get these opportunities because your ability to play football.
Right. For
So,
sure.
Like, and I like Juju.
Yeah.
And also, like, these kids are smarter, different generation. They're realizing their brands.
Yeah, for sure.
So by Juju TikToking and Jefferson doing the giddy and, all these different things that are more, kid-centric or younger youth-centric, they're getting deals outside of their contracts for all this stuff. And at the end of the day, you are a brand. The name on the back of your jersey is a brand.
Get paid.
And I commend these athletes now for realizing what these teams and companies have realized for tens and decades. And now as players, they're able to benefit off of themselves because the companies and the teams have been doing it forever and not giving us pennies. So,
yeah. Ask somebody like Lawrence Taylor what he would have been able to capitalize off if he had a camera, or Bruce Smith, or even
think how much money Michael Jordan did not get, although he did get billions.
Now,
you know what I'm saying? Right. So
him and Bo Jackson opened the door for everybody to do this.
Yeah, for sure. And this is the other part of it too. Guys, as much as they allude to not being this way, are smart as ever.
Yeah.
Not just the quarterbacks. We're talking about
Aaron
and Tom, but guys are smart and got teams around them that get this type of stuff done. So when it comes to Tom's team or Aaron's team, cultivating whatever this is, Pat McAfee might as well be his agent at this point. Right. He controls the airwaves and what we're going to talk about with Aaron Rodgers moving forward.
Nobody was happier to see the 10-slide Instagram from Aaron Rodgers than Pat McAfee was. Rubbing his hands together like, I've got him on the show today.
We got him on Tuesday. What day does he go on, Monday or Tuesday?
Is Tuesday. He went on yesterday. Yeah.
And
said there was nothing to it. He hasn't decided his future yet.
All right. That's the only part that kind of gets me, though, Keith. Like, it does, but it doesn't, because a guy like Aaron controls so much as far as the play on the field.
Yeah.
That Aaron, come on, like, you got to say one way or the other. And he said he'd be sooner than later this year.
In the franchise tag window, which opened yesterday at 3:00.
But Keith brought this up, though. He still went out and won the NFC North, got the first round bye, number 1 overall seed on the NFC side, with all the antics that he had last year. I think if you're going to do it again this year, be more clear, but he don't have to be.
Yeah.
You see the movie Achilles? Troy.
Troy, yeah. Yeah.
So remember the one scene where Achilles, I don't feel like fighting today.
Yeah.
It's the same situation. Aaron Rodgers knows he's Achilles in Troy, and if he goes out there, he's going to make stuff happen.
He will.
Like, it goes down with me.
Right.
I don't care what group of men you give me, it's going down. So I'm going to sit back and just enjoy the fruits of my labor. And, I got the long hair now, and I got the Hollywood girlfriend, and we're going to do some cool.
Ex-girlfriend.
Yeah, not
ex.
anymore.
Yeah,
Oh,
ex-girlfriend.
nice.
That was the first scene in Troy when a little boy came and got him, right?
Yeah.
And he was just laid
Yeah,
out.
he was laid up with his things, with his joints.
and went out and
Sounds
swiped
like
him.
the off season.
It sounds like Aaron Rodgers off season.
Yeah, it does. It all comes full circle. All comes full circle.
Well, which he was also bothered by a toe. Wasn't Achilles this
Yeah.
year. He was bothered by a toe. And
I've
not
got
an
a bum Achilles.
You
I
do?
know that.
From running?
Yeah.
Well,
You said Achilles. I was like, I had a little bit of foot pain, right? You said
Yeah,
that.
that's why I don't do that's why I don't do a lot of physical activity like snowboarding. I just went snowboarding last weekend.
Oh, nice.
And I just got over. I'm just now feeling like myself again. And
Yeah.
the last time I was on the mountain was Saturday. I'm like, at 44, I don't know how. You know what I mean? I don't know if I should be doing launches and stuff like that. Yeah.
straight up.
All right, when we come back, I want to take a look at where Marcus Mariota might end up and kind of get back in this ESPN piece from Jeremy Fowler talking about where NFL executives think a lot of these quarterbacks could go and kind of their thoughts on this class of free agent quarterbacks. Marcus Mariota back to the West Coast possibly. In a situation that might be a good fit for him. We'll get into that. Talk some college hoops coming up here in the 8 o'clock hour as well. Lots more to come. Will Boling, Ramon Foster, Keith Bulluck with you here, 104.5 The Zone.
Imagine if the first way we did things was the only way because somebody told you, look, this is the way we've always done it. Well, that's what happens when you sell your home. You got to list it and you got to keep it show ready because you never know when somebody want to come by for what they call a quick look. Or you have dozens of people marching through your home that may or may not be serious about buying it. And this goes on and on until the right buyer comes along. Well, that's all ended now. It's Ramon Foster. I want to tell you what I did. I went to opendoor.com and put in my address and home info, and I got an offer back in no time. There's no listings, no strangers, and no stress. Open Door gives you a real competitive offer in minutes. Just go to opendoor.com/WGFX and get your free offer. Open Door is the new way to sell without all the hassles of a traditional home selling. You'll know exactly what you're getting. You can decide when you want to close. Go to opendoor.com/WGFX and get your free offer today. That's opendoor.com/WGFX. And offer eligibility varies. And Open Door is represented by Open Door Brokerage, Inc., license 02061130 in California, and Open Door Brokerage, LLC, in his other markets.
JMart Ramon, powered by All Four Seasons here on 104.5 The Zone. When trust matters, count on All Four Seasons garage doors in Nashville. Visit allfourseasonsgarages.com. Along with Ramon Foster and Keith Bulluck, I'm Will Boling. Andrew Malone, our producer this morning. It seems like every quarterback that is available this offseason has been linked with the San Francisco 49ers in some way. And in this ESPN.com piece, go ahead and add Marcus Mariota to that list. This coming from Jeremy Fowler earlier this week, saying that Mariota is the kind of guy that they could go and get if they move on from Jimmy G and don't get a big money quarterback like an Aaron Rodgers or a Tom Brady. I think it's an interesting conversation because you talk about bringing in somebody to help Trey Lance and be an insurance policy for Trey Lance. If I'm Marcus Mariota, the chance to play for Kyle Shanahan would be perfect. Plus, if Trey Lance was out for whatever reason and hurt, you can run the same offense you would with Trey Lance with a more mobile quarterback like Marcus.
The thing about Marcus, too, is I'll say this, good on him for not burying his own career.
Yeah.
Not just going into purgatory and just being just done with all things. I'm actually glad for him. If it works out for his favor, finding the right OC, him being here, I think may have been a year or two before what the NFL is doing right now. I'm not sure he's going to be the starter or a starter at a specific organization. But offense is now, you mentioned, the Shanahan offense is more relatable to him than it was. I mean, look at the way the Raiders were using him this past year.
Right.
He'll get a reserve deal, which reserve deals for backup quarterbacks are still pretty doggone good.
He's almost in the same spot as Trubisky kind of is right now. Of he's going to have to go somewhere that they're not 100% sold on their guy, and he's not going to come in and be the starter, but he's going to do what in his mind what Ryan Tannehill did to him.
I mean, Chase Daniels wasn't a starter in this league, but he's got enough knowledge and playmaking ability to where he's still on rosters making bank and, still stacking up. We came in the same year, and he's still in the league. I've been retired for 2 now.
Yeah.
So find a fit, find a niche. That's one thing I'll tell anybody. And Keith can probably relate to this too. When you first go into the league, is the idea the more you can do, the longer you stay around. The more you can do, the longer you stay around. Also means the more you can do, the less you get paid. Yeah. So because of that, if you want to be a starter, create a niche for yourself. But for backup quarterbacks, if they respect you enough, they know your team guy, they know you won't press the starting quarterback. Because that's one thing I've learned, too, about starting quarterbacks in this league. Not necessarily looking over their shoulder, but they don't like the idea of the backup being the guy.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'll never forget, watching, like a guy like Vic come in. People who just love and respect him. Like, it creates an environment to where it's just like, oh, I need to, keep it hot for myself.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Right. Like that's so when people were talking about bringing in a guy here, or matter of fact, when Mariota was the quarterback and they brought in a starter like Ryan Tannehill, it's so easy for the base to say, hey, I wonder what that guy can do. And it pushed Mariota up out of here. So Mariota, if he does go to San Francisco, I don't think it'll be a major threat for Trey Lance. But if Tom actually went to San Francisco, I think Tom would feel very well about having Trey behind him too. Trey Lance.
I agree with that with that last thing. But with Marcus Mariota, I don't even know if Marcus Mariota really want to play football at this point. You know what I'm saying?
I'm with you.
He didn't get forced. I don't think he got forced out here. I think the inevitable happened. I liked when they picked up Ryan Tannehill just because, he had experience, and he was a good backup because when Mariota was here, you always knew at some point he was going to get hurt. Like you just always knew that he was going to get hurt. And then even last year with the Raiders, he was only dressed for 7 out of 17 games. You know what I mean? So he's not going to San Francisco. Look, if Trey Lance, if he goes to San Francisco, they're going to need a third backup because if Trey Lance gets hurt, Mariota is not gonna, just my personal opinion.
yeah.
He's not gonna last just
Right.
because of his body of work. It's nothing personal. You know
Right.
what you say.
Yeah.
What have you done for me lately?
What have you done for me?
So, it'll be interesting to see where Marcus goes. He'll definitely get a job for all the things that, we've grown to know and like or love about him in the NFL. But, he can't necessarily stay healthy. And
Anthony Davis.
Yeah. I don't think that I think that he's kind of lost the love for football. Anthony Davis got that championship bubble in his
Yeah,
Man.
Again, you love what the talent can be with both
Right.
of those two dudes, and just correlate one to the other. But like you said, trying to get Anthony Davis on the court for the Lakers for the entire year,
he don't want it.
it's
Right.
been. I wonder why certain guys catch it like that, though.
I'm like switching to Anthony Davis.
Yeah.
Maybe it's like maybe it's the whole. He's a superstar. Like he was a superstar in with the Pelicans. You know what I'm saying? But maybe it does have something to do with LeBron. Maybe some people can't handle playing with LeBron, but obviously for him, it's injuries.
Yeah.
How you get hurt that much, man, in basketball?
Yeah.
And you're skinny. It's not like you Zion and
Like
fat.
he's Shaq with a
Right.
whole like
Yeah,
300-some
you know what I mean?
pounds. No.
It's crazy. Sorry,
But to Marcus Mariota situation.
my bad.
So
So,
how we brought it full back.
full circle.
Yeah, full circle.
I love it. Coming up next, no one ruins the sport of basketball like college basketball officials. I don't know if y'all saw this video last night of one of the worst ejections I've ever seen in a
I
sporting
saw
event.
that. I saw that.
But we got to get into this for Dan Hurley getting run out of the Connecticut Villanova game last night. Plus, I want to get y'all's thoughts on all the stuff that happened with Wisconsin, Michigan over the weekend. I know you guys haven't really had the chance to react to that, so we'll get y'all's thoughts on just kind of the perspective on having a coach go at another coach. Kind of a wild scene over the weekend for Juwan Howard, Michigan. Halftime of the show, stretch your legs, little marching band show, something like a halftime here. We're going to get things rolling the third quarter. Coming up next, JMart Ramon, 104.5 The Zone. It is 8:02. Good morning. I'm Will Boling. Kennedy Chandler had a game-high 23 last night to lead number 17 Tennessee to an 80-61 road win over Conzo Martin and Missouri. Kennedy Chandler added 8 rebounds, 6 assists, a couple of steals. Victor Bailey had 11 points off the bench, his most productive outing since scoring 14 against Presbyterian on November 30th. Next up for Tennessee, the top team in the SEC, the third-ranked Auburn Tigers on Saturday in Thompson Boling Arena. Alabama knocked off Vanderbilt 74-72 last night in Memorial Gymnasium. Javon Quinterly scored 17 of his 19 points in the second half to help 24th-ranked Alabama rally from a 9-point deficit. And that was a 37-28 game in the first half in favor of Vanderbilt. Tanner Janot had 2 third-period goals last night as the Nashville Predators broke a short little losing streak, 6-4, a winner over the Florida Panthers. David Riddick made 44 saves in his first start since January the 18th for the Nashville Predators. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone. Second half of the show, it is JMart and Ramon, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors here on 104.5 The Zone. A week off for Jonathan Schaefer and Jason Martin. We got a good crew, though, in here hanging out with you. Will Boling, Ramon Foster, and Keith Bulluck with you on this Wednesday morning. Hope you are doing well as you start your day. And we got some college hoops to discuss here on the show. Lots of NFL so far. You can check out the podcast if you missed any of our conversation about cleansing and things from both ends. I don't know.
Evacuating.
Things that I have zero interest
Great way
in.
to put it.
I would
That means
evacuate.
things are getting out fast.
From both ends.
There's a sense of urgency when the word evacuate is used.
All I can think of when Andrew said it, it's like, is he balled up in a corner of some jungle?
I hate it here.
I hate it here.
Speaking of evacuating, Dan Hurley, head coach of the Connecticut men's basketball team, had to evacuate the floor yesterday. Got a second technical foul with about 2.5 minutes in the first half left. Got a technical foul for pumping up the crowd.
It's ridiculous.
College basketball officials need to do so much less.
So much less.
Who are you?
Yeah, for real.
Who are you? First and foremost, all right, you tee up the coach. That's fine. But the coach, look, this is a big game.
Yeah.
You know, they're playing a top 10. Look, it's a big game. All right, I got teed. All right, let's go. Let's put the pressure on them. Like, you know, let's make it a hostile environment. Ref, that has nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
Has nothing to do with the ref. And the ref made it about him. He made it about himself because he teed him up, double T, and you're out. And they lose by 2. I mean, they win by 2.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry. But he should have been there on the court with his players to see that victory through.
I know, for pumping up the crowd. I never understood that unless it's like an unspoken rule, which I'm a fan of unspoken rules sometimes. But when it comes down to officiating and sideline stuff, like a warning or something has to be given in those situations. Like, you're there to regulate the game. You know, like as far as what he did with the crowd, that wasn't affecting the game. Like,
Right.
if you know you're going into a hostile environment. Like him pumping up the crowd, I've seen coaches do this before. I've seen coaches get into their sideline. So when he fusses at a player, does that warrant a tech also? Where is the fine line in that? Like, that's my only thing with, you know, him giving them the tech. And then the second was for slapping the scores table.
First one was for slapping the scores table, and then following 2 free throws by Villanova guard Colin Gillespie.
Wow.
Dan Hurley turned his back to the court, waved his arms up and down towards his home crowd to try to pump him up after what he thought was a bad call, and then he got a second technical.
Wow. Why is the ref even paying attention to what the coach is doing?
Crazy.
Facts. It's again, I know refereeing is a hard job, and apparently there is a shortage of refs As far as being able to officiate games too, because maybe the pandemic, maybe they just don't want to do that anymore. Maybe it's the fans, the crowd, the moms and dads that yell
They don't
at
want
them.
the pressure. They don't want the pressure.
But like I'm looking at them like you've done this for years, and you got to be pro enough to one, leave your emotions out of it, let the game organically roll.
Right.
And that's where I was at as far as him pumping up the crowd. Like that's an organic thing that you let happen more than anything.
It's like he hit the 2 free throws. All right, we're about to put the ball back in possession. Let's go. Let's get up.
Right.
That's what it sounds like to me.
That's foolish to me, man. That group has to be reprimanded. Again, I'm for protecting the refs if it's necessary. If it's one of those toss-up calls at the end of the game, but it may be too much. But at some point, you got to start should there be a post-game conference for referees?
Right.
Like somebody's got to answer for those type of situations.
Refs aren't really held too accountable, and that's unfair because everyone else is. Everyone else involved with that game and that situation is held accountable for something. By someone. But the refs who actually play a major part in the game are never held accountable.
I was so this past weekend we're at that stage, fellas, where I take my kid to baseball showcases. Okay. So we went this weekend to the one in Georgia, and they had basically a referee camp, umpire camp, whatever you want to call it. Some of them, minors, high school. And the hopefuls want to go to the bigs, and it was interesting on how hearing the what do you want to call them, the administrator, kind of tell the refs or the umpires what they should and should not be calling. And one thing I did pick up on, and I've seen parents get mad, get ticked off, all those things behind certain stuff that happened. One referee was like, if it's close on the 3rd strike, call it. So if a kid gets caught looking at a ball that he presumes is a ball, and it probably is, they're still going to pull them out because it's like, keep the game going.
Man, baseball is one of those, too, that,
don't do me like that,
you talk about the moment being too big for players, and that's obviously a big piece of conversations we have about quarterbacks, about every position in sports. The moment gets too big for some of these dudes where they feel like, oh, okay, if you guys are going to, hit these 35-footers and do these crazy things, I've got to make sure that y'all know who's boss here, and I got to make this about me.
Yeah.
And the moment gets too big.
Reffing is, umpiring. Look, I know the right
I know,
terms.
I do it.
I know the right terms. I do know the right terms.
Yeah.
Umpiring is pretty, I umped 1 or maybe 2 games because after you graduate Little League, you go to Babe Ruth Prep, you can go back and ump the Little League games.
Yeah.
Like you can go back down and ump the Little League games. So I was umping a Little League game, and if you're the first base ump, you're supposed to watch the bag so you see the foot hit and listen for the ball. That's how they do it. You watch the foot and you listen for the ball. That's what we were taught. So the kid was, I don't know if he was out or safe, but I was like, say or out. I gave him the out call, but then gave the safe
motion
sign because it was a close play. And the parents like, which one is it? And whatever one I picked, obviously, I'm going to be wrong on one side. Oh, man, they gave it to me.
Awesome.
They gave it to me.
And
so I know it could be a little bit challenging.
It is. But it almost makes sense, though, on strike ball. Like, if you got a kid that's painting the outside plate.
Right. You got to know the pitcher.
You know the pitcher, but it's also, if he's been painting that plate all day long, he was basically like, look, that kid got a spot, and if he's close to that spot and you've called strikes and it's a ball, though, you got to live with it. And I was just like, I told my son, I was like, well, see, this is why you don't go down on the 2nd strike, on the 3rd strike looking.
Swing.
You better swing. And that was just, hey, for the dads, I'm sure somebody's got a baseball kid out there. 3rd strike, swing.
Go down swinging.
Because they're going to call it.
Yeah. Are they throwing hooks? Are they throwing curveballs and stuff?
Yeah. At this age, 100%.
Yeah,
or you got a kid that can just place it right at the knees.
Yeah, if he buckles you, that's different. Like, if it's coming at your head, if he got that ill curveball or whatever, pitchy eyes, that's different. You know what I mean? Yeah. But if you better swing.
Live another one.
Tip it off.
I was never good enough to play like youth baseball around it. Like the Brentwood Civitan League is about as far as I got here. And I didn't do travel or anything. I wasn't good enough. I pitched, but I could not hit to save my life.
Yeah.
And I knew baseball was not for me when I'd be standing up there with like 3 balls, 2 strikes. And the only thing in my head is like, please walk me. Please walk me. Wow. Please walk me. I was like, man, I'm so close. I was like, I'm a track guy. Like, I'm just trying to run and score runs. Like, just walk me. Like, I don't want to.
I definitely wasn't thinking that mentality.
I was like, that is what I knew. I was like, all right, so what other sports can I do? Where can I just turn left and occasionally right and not have to like do anything with my hands, like hand-eye coordination? Like, no, just like, please.
Did you play baseball? Ramon?
Nah, you want to know why I didn't play?
Why?
Because I thought I was too big for the uniform.
That's when like you get a certain age and your number is the size of your jersey. Like they don't have us number 76 for baseball.
I've always been a fit kid, but I was bigger than most. Like I had a stomach, but I wasn't like a huge kid.
Did you wear a T-shirt at the pool?
No.
Okay.
I ain't wear a T-shirt at the pool. Like,
that's what I'm talking about.
But I was just like, that's for skinny dudes, not knowing that I probably had the power to come down. Like I've always been athletic.
Yeah, Frank Thomas, Frank
feel
Thomas,
me?
the big hurt. That should have been your guy.
It's Atlanta guy.
Ron is in the chat right now saying, damn, Will, please walk me.
No, I mean, it's just like, look. I was not. I was awful.
Hey.
I was so bad.
Hey, you go to the party with Will. He definitely hoping nothing go down. I hope nothing go. Hope.
We good? We good?
No, like there was. So when I was like at a sport I was good at, like I obviously didn't have that mentality.
No doubt.
All right, so you gotta give everybody your cross country mentality. Like
so I would
please.
I would literally. So our coach told us all the time, like, well, exactly what we were talking about in the first hour, like visualize everything. Like you get to the last rep of practice, like you're visualizing like winning. Like we would do practice at the state championship course. And so we would literally practice on like the last mile of the state course and be like, all right, like visualize you're finishing a state championship race right now.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just, at that point, it was all like the process. And our coach would always be like, hey, we're going to treat this like Nick Saban does of like you play the next play, not focusing on the scoreboard. Like just do the next mile, like take the next step and just like breathe and you're gonna be fine. So at that point, you get so process driven once you get like good at a sport and like, all right, I'm confident enough in what I've done in practice where like our coach would tell us, like my mindset was don't get stressed about like races or games because you should get stressed about practice. Like at that point, you're just like putting on film what you've done in practice that whole week. You're not actually doing anything different.
Yeah. No,
but when as sports I was bad at, I was like, I don't know how to practice this, so I definitely don't know how to play this thing.
I'll tell you this to the point about just walk me though. I've seen sometimes in tournaments where kids just couldn't pitch though, or they would throw the looping ball, and I've seen our kids' team just swing, strike, and I'm thinking to myself, let him walk you like that. But your situation
see, I was
like
playing
that.
chess. Everybody else was playing checkers. Like, oh, you're swinging at these outside pitches. Nope, I'm gonna stand right here.
Yeah, I played baseball. That was my first sport. My grandmother put us all in baseball. We were like, I was good. So I was like, I listened to your show and I know that your kids play, and I always, take this time to commend you. So the reason I stopped playing baseball was because I didn't have like a dad or a parent there. It got to the age where. I think it was like 9th grade. I always made all-stars, all that. 9th grade, 10th grade year, whatever it was. I was an alternate because now is the time where new kids are coming to the team. Their parents are there, bringing the Gatorades, bringing the oranges, bringing all the snacks. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I'm just catching a ride with Miss Mariko. You know what I'm saying? So it came down to the cut. So it was like, oh, Keith, you're an alternate. I've never been an alternate. I'll never forget my Mr. Mariko, who I'm catching a ride with. My best friend Mike. His dad was like, "It's all right, kid. You still got football." And I was like, I never went back. I never went back to playing baseball. I thought I was going to be the next Bo Jackson.
And you had aspirations for
and I never went back.
Keith,
never went back.
What could have
struck
been
a match, man. Let's talk more about that.
Yeah, for sure. Let's do this on the other side. Plus, this just came up from Bruce Arians. Did Bruce Arians just kind of take a shot at the Titans talking about his quarterback situation? This is kind of weird.
Did he really?
Well, I'll give you the quote when we come back. JMart Ramon, 104.5 The Zone. JMart Ramon, 104.5 The Zone. You can come hang out with us at 615-737-1045. Open phone lines here in hour number 3. Will Boling, Ramon Foster, and Keith Bulluck with you. I will not eject myself from the show by pumping up the studio audience we have on 104.5 The Zone TV, where you can watch the show as well on Twitch, YouTube, Facebook Live, and Twitter. I want to talk a little bit about this Juwan Howard stuff and the craziest you've seen a coach be on the sideline. I almost ask this question hesitantly because I figured y'all got some pretty good stories of like things you've heard coaches say to refs or like to other coaches. Like I think people always talk about like the get back guy too, of like you've got that one dude who's like holding back a coach. Like that seems like the one of the most difficult jobs on a sideline of a National Football League game, being the get back guy.
Why is the get back coach so serious?
There you go.
What's wild about the get back coach is this though. If you pull the coach and tell him to get back time and time, he don't tell you shut the freak up, number one. But secondly, if you don't get him back and the team gets a penalty or one is like, you couldn't get me back?
Yeah.
Right.
I used to tell the get back coach, get your ass back. You're telling me to get back. You the one on the field.
Yeah, right.
Craziest thing I seen a coach, this was documented though. We're in Baltimore. And I think it was Jacoby Jones that was running the he ran it back.
Yeah.
And Mike T wondered somehow, and he lost where he was on the field.
Oh, and when he ended up all the way down?
Yeah, when he kind of interfered with Jacoby a little bit. I remember that whole sequence, just break it down like that. And coaches are just gamers. The right coaches are.
Right.
Competitive. Somehow he wandered up on the field looking at the Jumbotron is what his explanation was.
He was wandering.
He
was wandering.
But I remember that situation, and you talked about antics on and off the field for players, and I'll never forget, after the game and we were in the meetings, and everybody was messing with Mike T about, I think he got $250,000, $150,000, something like that fine.
Right.
And he was like, all right, y'all don't win this game, we don't go to the playoffs. It's going to be a short Christmas, not just for me, but for everybody, okay? So it was incentive for us to make the playoffs. And, of course, to Keith's point earlier, everything is a joke in the locker room.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, I'm sure.
Like, this was a huge penalty, not only for us, but for him. He got fined 6 figures. And here we are in the team meeting room laughing about it. It was like, hey, had to do what I got to do to win a game. You know
I imagine that being like when Michael Scott falls in the koi pond in The Office, and everybody, every time they walk by Jim, then after that, when Jim doesn't help him in, they're just like, just leaning back, like, hey, don't trip me.
Lean back. Man. No, it happens, man, that type of stuff. But I'll tell you this, we rallied around it.
Sure.
The whole situation we had in Cincinnati with Joey Porter and, Pack and stuff like that. Okay. I'll be real with you. That turned us up even more. Whenever they were dogging Joey and the whole coaches were on the field type of thing, that actually turned us up more. You're speaking about, Juwan gets suspended and everything like that. Like, that could have been strategic. I've heard, baseball managers.
Yeah, they do it in baseball.
If I get kicked out, I'm probably doing it on purpose, right? To get my group riled up. You know what I'm saying? I think with Juwan's situation, emotions got him. But the other part of that is I'd love to know what the assistant coach said to get him to that point.
Yeah. Well, stick with Pittsburgh. You brought up Peasy, Joey Porter.
Peasy, Peasy, don't you?
You call him Peasy. But we're playing the Steelers here. Man, I can't remember exactly what game it was, but it was like cold. It was a cold game. It was a big game. Maybe 07. We won the AFC. Whatever. It was to get home field. Maybe it was 08. Whatever it was. Yeah. Joey, he's their guy in Pittsburgh. Maybe he was talking all week. However it was, the offense gets in their mind. Ramon could tell it better. Yo, we got to make sure we take care of him. Anyway, long story short, man, shout out to Steve Orderson, our former strength coach. The play comes to our sidelines, and it's cold, so when in cold games, we have chicken broth. And Steve Orderson had, like, some chicken broth in the clipboard. And then Joey Porter comes to the sidelines, runs, and then you just boom, Pizzy turns around like he screamed like, hey, like we didn't know what happened. Come to find out, Steve Waterson poured his hot chicken broth on Joey Porter's leg. You know how they know? Because they paused it and circled his hand, showing him tossed.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So that was a sideline antic that I was around, and like Ramon, I don't remember I know Waterson got in trouble by the NFL, probably got fined, but like Ramon, it became a joke around the locker room and everything
chicken
like
broth.
that.
Yeah. Chicken broth and hot chocolate is what they have.
I was gonna say up in Pittsburgh, that's probably you need a
the
big
cold
thing of
weather
chicken broth.
games. No doubt. The same thing happened to, you remember the Miami strength coach? Speaking of strength coaches, remember when he was
I got into it with him.
Did you really?
Yeah.
The same guy that tripped up the guy on the sideline?
It just depends. Wow. Yeah, I got it. Was it a bald dude?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got into it with him. For real.
Huh.
Like nothing physical, but like I was on their sidelines and he said something. I really had to really give it to him. Like this whole thing would be beeped. You know what I'm saying? Like, look, man, you hear the coach. Like I literally was walking back on the field and I turned around to him and said everything I said and just turned around and went back. Yeah.
That might be the question, Will. How close have you been to fighting a ref?
So, and this is a question I have for you guys
coach.
too, of just being, removed from your NFL careers. Like Juwan Howard is a guy that was playing not that long ago in the NBA.
Yeah.
And now he's got to put himself in a completely different mindset, in a completely different role of, I'm these guys' coach, but at the same time, these guys have got to know that I've got their back.
Yeah.
And that no one's going to show them up. So this is the part, obviously you're not condoning a dude, hitting a guy as a head coach after, in the handshake line. Like, I get it. Right.
He mugged him.
Have you seen, like, somebody made, like, a video of him just, like, it takes out the punch part and it just like rewinds and fast forwards of him. And it looks like he's petting him on the top of the head. Like, you just give him a little head scratch, like a little dog
right there. Yeah.
But how hard would that be to kind of switch off? And I guess like Rick Barnes talked about this on Monday in his press conference of you learn how to channel your competitive energy in a different way.
Yeah.
As a young coach, like at the end of the day, you're trying to motivate your team. Doug Matthews has talked about this on our station a ton of times of like every time a coach even talks in a press conference, he's not talking to the media. He's not even really talking to the fans because he knows his team has got their Twitter and their videos and they're watching and he's trying to send a message to the team. Juwan Howard probably successfully sent the message to his guys that he's got their back.
Yeah.
But how hard would that be to shut off one area of your competitive mindset and channel that in a different way?
Well, what I don't like about the Juwan Howard situation, and like first and foremost, I'll say like Juwan Howard, if you're watching, he's already past the coach. Like, why is the coach touching me? Like, why are you touching me, guy? Like, what's up, bro?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? And then from there, Juwan Howard definitely needs to control his emotions.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you cannot be the head coach of a collegiate football team. Maybe the pro you can, but collegiate and like incite a fight between, you know what I'm saying? Now you're, for as much as you said you got your players back, now it's like obviously these players know that their coach has their back because they're down to throw blows. They're down to like get it popping. You know what I mean? So I feel like if you have that much control, I mean that much influence as obviously Juwan Howard does over his players. Look, it seems like, Juwan Howard can go into a Shoney's with his guys and, you know what I'm saying? Who wants some?
Who wants some?
But he can't be doing that. He can't be doing that.
Shoney's, I love that.
I agree with you on that. The only thing that gets me against Juwan Howard is he's a former player.
Mm-hmm. This is not his first offense.
No, it's not.
Right.
But he's now a coach, which is where a lot of people were, the former player being coach thing is you got to overprove yourself, black or white. Like can you leave the game and be an administrator basically?
For sure.
Because the one thing that I was just like, come on, Juwan, was one of his players was fighting, literally throwing blows, and he got suspended.
Right.
It's a little bit different for him. Now, again, if he's a 4-year guy, he's going to be a team cog that, sets the tone for that team moving forward. And I know Juwan and his crew are dealing with frustration because when he first got that job, Fab 5, back at his alma mater.
Yeah.
I think they had like a top 3 recruiting class, in which I don't know much has come from that
Now,
group.
he had success his first year.
He's had some success, but as far as the consistency of being up top,
Yeah, it's on TV right over your head, too.
yeah. But he compromised one of his guys that got suspended.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
And truth be told, that's kind of where we were in Cincinnati when all that went down too with Joey and just Burfict and Pack and just the whole. It wasn't just those two, but of course, their names get thrown around a good bit, and emotions gonna run. Y'all know how it is. Competitive. You gonna get me? I'm gonna get you twice.
Yeah, right.
And that's what Juwan just grabbed him by his face.
I'll say the other issue I had with this too is that there was far less punishment on the Wisconsin side of things, and it was pretty much all just Michigan. Like the only suspension was Juwan Howard out of this.
Yeah,
They got 40,000.
Yeah, 40,000.
Alma Mater's going to pay for that.
Right.
Boosters is going to pay for that.
Right.
because it raised the bar. So my homeboy is a Michigan fan texting me right now.
Yeah.
And he just simply gonna say, Michigan guy, we cut different.
Here's the thing, though.
Michigan State, maybe.
Because Michigan's the only one that got the penalties, if those two teams play in the Big Ten tournament again,
That's going to
they're going to feel like, hey, we're the only ones that got punished. Now we got to even the score.
They're going to make that they're going to set that. They're going to make that matchup happen.
Oh, it's going to happen.
Come on now.
It has to. I hope it happens. I'm
That'll
tuning
be
in
the
for that.
biggest Michigan-Wisconsin game ever.
In the red corner
For real.
from Madison, Wisconsin. Like, for real.
The biggest game since Michael Finley was at Wisconsin.
God, dog.
Yeah, I had to go back. Trust me.
No, I think it's interesting because like Rick Barnes he went after Dean Smith when he was at Clemson.
Yeah.
And there's always that story of him going after Jerry Stackhouse too.
Jerry Cheney? Dick Cheney?
Dick Cheney? No, not Dick Cheney. What's his? From Temple.
Temple.
Oh, not John.
John Cheney.
John Cheney.
John
There we
Cheney.
go.
You know, I met him, man, in Pittsburgh one time. We were playing Philly, and he came by and stuff like that. Super cool dude.
John Cheney, Bobby Hurley. Not Bobby Knight.
That's what somebody said on Twitter, too.
Oh, man, they don't make them like
that
that anymore.
Yeah, nah.
That's why I think that's why I was opposed to the suspension almost. Like, dock him 1 or 2 games. But let's not forget Bobby Knight.
But
People are trying to fire this dude. Like, what are we?
My thing is, if the part with the kids didn't happen, it's a little. But you can't incite. A brawl between the
Let's
players.
be real though. When he grabbed him by his face, though, I tell you what, who was it? CBS didn't turn that station off. They were running credits and credits.
Keep it rolling. Go.
We've got something. He's got something.
Juwan about to pop off.
That's always my pet peeve. Like watching a game and they're like, all right, when we come back, and you see a fight starting and they still go to commercial.
Yeah.
No, come on. I want to
keep it going. But see, this is also what we were talking about as far as like last week goes. Like when something like this happens, like the idea that everything becomes a joke, like the locker room mentality of just, look, you got me, I got you, let's laugh at it. We talked about people falling last week. Like, man, It sucks when you see somebody fall down a hill. As soon as they get up, though, how did you fall down that hill? That's the first question. You all right? Because you about to get these jokes. Like, we laughed.
Oh, yeah.
It was serious because Juwan, was smacking the dude, but now it's hilarious to me. I'll be real with you.
615-737-1045. No, it's interesting to see how they're going to bounce back from that too.
Yeah, they got to go on a run now. They have to at this point.
They've had a disappointing season too. Like that, something like this is things like this happen when I guess you've not really met expectations and you're kind of you're sitting on go a little bit.
They got the talent though. To get it done. Yeah. It's a matter of coaching them up. And like I said, Juwan is going to be held to a higher standard because that's his school. He's the guy, you know what I'm saying, that's supposed to bring that organization or that school back to the top. And here he is with a 4-game suspension.
Yeah, and I think you hit it on the head a little bit earlier. He had some early success, with this team, but he hasn't had the same success since then, and it's been very disappointing. And you could tell the frustration of that. And at the end of the day, I don't know if you saw the end of the game, like the whole thing. The coach called the timeout there, but why are you pressing with 10? And they got his backups in. You know what I'm saying? Right. So, you know.
But to Juwan's point about why he's pressing though too is it was Michigan, right?
Mm-hmm.
Pressing is this. He's trying to grind them till they get the understanding of how you play ball, though.
Right.
So I've seen a middle school coach up by 15 still pressing.
Yeah,
Why?
because there's still coaching moments within this game.
Yeah, and
for
this is the point too is if we have a standard of playing and we win a certain type of way, if y'all can beat me, you gonna dog me out. So let me dog you out while I can. That's why I tell anybody that's competing, if you can get them, you better get them, because soon as the wheels turn or the page turn, they gonna make sure you understand who's boss. You know?
Yeah. 615-737-1045, the number. So is Blaine Gabbert about to be a starting quarterback in the NFL again?
Come on, man.
Bruce Arians thinks possibly in Tampa Bay. We'll do that after the break. JMart Ramon, 1045 The Zone. JMart Ramon, powered by All Four Seasons here on 104.5 The Zone. Bruce Arians, I guess, has his quarterback, maybe. I'll get to that here in a second, where you can join us at 615-737-1045. Let's go to the phones for the first time this morning.
Hey.
Cousin Andrew, back in the mix. Will Boling, Keith Bulluck, and Ramon Foster here with you. Good morning, Andrew. How are you?
I'm the first caller today.
You are the first caller today.
What's my prize?
D's.
What'd you say?
You know what? I tell you what. Just send my check in the mail. I'll get it at some
Free
point.
evacuations.
Hey, first of all, I want to welcome Keith Bulluck to the Timon and Pumbaa show. If you know, you know. So look here.
Yeah, I get it.
Here's my thing
I'm
about
trying to
this
figure out which one I am.
No,
I'm
you ain't-
Timon and he's Pumbaa.
I get it.
No, you got it wrong, Ramon. You're Pumbaa. Will's Timon.
Either way, Will's my son basically this morning.
Perfect.
Listen, I wanted to say something on this Juwan Howard thing. I hear a lot of people saying Wisconsin should have gotten fined or more or what have you. I think the reason that Juwan was the only person to get a suspension out of this whole deal from a coaching standpoint was because at the end of the day, he's the only one that threw hands. And the guy that he threw a hand at wasn't even the head coach that grabbed his arm like people are pointing out when in the handshake line. He threw hands at an assistant coach who was just running his mouth. And look, we got two dudes in the studio right now that can tell you trash talk is happening. Yeah. It's always part of every game. My son's 10 years old, and they trash talk in his travel soccer league. He tells me all the time, people are running their mouths. So, go to Pee Wee football. You're going to get trash talk. So my point is, sticks and stones. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't let the words get under your skin to where you throw hands. So I don't think they got the suspensions wrong and the fines wrong. I think they nailed it because at the end of the day, Juwan Howard has done this all his life. He has to understand how to control himself. If he doesn't at his age, that's a problem. So I think they nailed it. Either way, wasn't a good look, but like y'all said, it's going to fire up Michigan for the rest of the season. Y'all
true.
be good.
So Juwan
Absolutely.
Howard
Thank you, Andrew.
is a habitual line stepper. Juwan Howard, he sees that line. Sometimes he thinks about it. Other days he's like, you know what? Forget it. I'm going over.
Basically, to that assistant coach, though, Andrew, you run up, talk, and get done up.
What did I do? Hey, you ran up running your mouth.
What do you do for a living? Oh, I'm a habitual line stepper.
I mean,
on the radio, 6 to 10 a.m.
Think about this, though. Whenever there's a joke session going on the bus, in the locker room
man.
there's an old creed.
Yeah.
You grin, you win. Yeah. You over there laughing and having a good time. We got jokes for you, too.
You're laughing a little bit too hard.
That's right.
That's the first thing they say. You're laughing a little bit too hard.
Now you're involved.
Yeah.
It's the thing Ramon tells me the most is that sometimes it's just your day.
Hey.
You might not be part of a converssion, but sometimes if you make eye contact with me while this is going on, it's your day.
It's just your day.
You're volunteered.
You grow up in certain neighborhoods. You're gonna have to know how to fight, and you're gonna have to know how to snap when that's really talking trash back and forth. You're gonna have to know how to do both those things.
Yes, sir. If it's not for you,
because you're gonna have to know how to fight. Because if they getting on you too hard, you're probably gonna want to fight.
You're gonna want to fight.
You know how to fight.
Right. The only reason I thought maybe Wisconsin would get more of a punishment was just to minimize, like, Michigan trying to get retribution next time. Like, not even really because Wisconsin did anything wrong, but because, like, Michigan doesn't feel like they got to even up the score the next time they play. Because usually that's, like, the politics of how it works. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. It's just usually, like, it's always the... Like, you get so many offsetting 15-yard penalties when in reality, usually it's just one guy doing the talking or the stuff that's not supposed to happen. But
no doubt. But no, Juwan did what he did. It's water under the bridge.
He incited the fight. Man. I agree with the caller. What was the caller's name? Andrew, I agree with you.
But I don't know. By the way, I stand corrected. Ron texted and said Juwan was actually the coach of the year last year. So he hadn't underperformed, I guess, this
He's
year.
having a disappointing year.
It's frustrating.
That was the frustration. We saw the frustration this weekend.
There it
Came
is.
to a head.
So Bruce Arians has got probably a new quarterback, though. Definitely a new quarterback this year. Kyle Trask is the only quarterback under contract for 2022. The Bucs have been mentioned as a team that could go out and try to get an Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, or whoever's available this offseason. Probably not Jameis Winston. They've already done that one. But there's another option, apparently, bringing back Blaine Gabbert. Bruce Arians tells Rick Stroud of the Tampa Bay Times, people may not like the overall record, but Blaine Gabbert has had 8 head coaches and 8 coordinators in his first 8 years. He beat Jacksonville their best year, beat Tennessee their big year for us in Arizona. Goes on to say, Gabbert has never played with a team this good. He's got all the respect in the locker room that he can have.
Man, you know what that sounds like to me? It sounds like, all right, he's a first-round pick, maybe he's first overall, right, or something like that.
I think he's number 8, maybe.
Yeah, he's top 10.
Right before Jake Locker.
Yeah, you buy that brand new S550, and it's just not working right.
Yeah.
And it's had 8 different owners.
Mm-hmm.
It's still that brand new it doesn't have many miles on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sometimes it'll make that trip. Sometimes it might break down on you. 9 times out of 10, it's probably going to break down on you.
Yeah.
I don't want to be the 9th owner of this lemon.
Yeah. Pretty much. He was the 10th pick.
Yo, come on, man. Like, a first-round pick, you've had 9 different coordinators. Like, that's just excuses. At some point, your talent is going to have to stick, show. Look, there are quarterback coaches you can work with over the summer.
Mm-hmm.
To me, it's like, and a lot of players, I feel at the quarterback position, you got to constantly put in work.
Yep.
You know what I mean? You got to constantly put in work. They have that tight end camp this year here.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
right.
They should have been having quarterback camps. You know what I mean? Because for the same reasons, like if you get a bunch of light guys at the same position, you're only going to develop, you're going to learn new things, and you're going to become better as a player.
Right.
I just feel that a lot of these quarterbacks get very content with, it didn't work out. I was a first-round pick. Well, shoot, I'll just be a backup. Yeah, I'll just be a backup and float. And, like, Blaine Gabbert, as much as I don't even think he probably wants to be a starter.
So
at this
here's
point.
his stat line. It doesn't say starter. By the way, passing yards, 9,200 passing yard. Completion percentage, 56.3%.
Yeah, it's not great.
Not okay. Passer rating, 72.5. Not okay.
Really not great.
Rushing yards, quarterback's rushing period, the way he plays is okay. 643, 3 touchdowns. This is it right here, which makes him a non-starter and proves that he's not the greatest decision maker. His tight end, his touchdown to interception rate is 50 touchdowns, 47 interceptions.
Yeah, so
There's a tight end for the Jacksonville Jaguars last year that did that.
Yeah. You see what I'm saying?
Tebow.
He's 50 touchdowns. That's true. 50 touchdowns, 47 interceptions. That doesn't say franchise quarterback Bruce Arians.
Well, you know what? Look, at the end of the day, Bruce Arians could do what he want. Put him on your team. Let's see how that works out. You know what I mean?
Put your money where your mouth is.
That's
Literally.
Yeah, literally. I think right now he's on the roster. He also he got a ring with Tom. So
That's right. That's right.
Everybody got a ring with Tom.
615-737-1045, the Matt Castle Memorial backup quarterback ring with Tom Brady.
Yeah, facts.
That's what Matt Castle did a lot.
Shout out to Matt Castle.
That's right.
That's my homie.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's a local FRA guy.
Absolutely. I love it. All right, we come back. Fourth quarter of the show. Coming up next, we'll reset the headlines for you. Let's take a look at some Titans mock drafts. Haven't done a lot of Titans today.
Ooh, is that time?
It's mock draft season. We've got some combine stuff we're going to talk about over the next couple of days, but really our first kind of mock draft roundup.
Let's do it.
We'll see what y'all like, what you don't like. Coming up next, final hour of the show, JMart Ramon, 104.5 The Zone.
It is 9:03. Good morning. I'm Lucas Panzica. The Tennessee Titans signed former Tennessee and Station Camp High School wide receiver Josh Malone on Tuesday. Malone had 972 receiving yards and 11 touchdowns in his junior year with the Vols. He has 91 career receiving yards in the NFL during stints with the Bengals and Jets. Malone spent 2021 on the Broncos and Packers practice squads. College hoops, number 17 Tennessee grabbed a bounce-back win on Tuesday at Missouri, running away from the Tigers in the second half to win 80-61. Freshman Kennedy Chandler led the charge, scoring 23 with 8 rebounds and 6 assists as the Vols improved to 20-7. They'll return home to host third-ranked Auburn on Saturday. Vanderbilt surrendered a 9-point advantage in a 74-72 loss to 24th-ranked Alabama last night, despite a 26-point effort from Scottie Pippen Jr., including 6 steals and 6 rebounds, as Vanderbilt drops to 14-13. The Preds rallied at the Florida Panthers to snap a 4-game losing skid. Mikhail Granlund scored the winning goal on a power play in the third. An empty netter made it a 6-4 victory for Nashville. 3 points for Philip Forsberg on the night, 1 goal and 2 assists. The Preds will return home to host the Dallas Stars tomorrow before taking on the Tampa Bay Lightning in Nissan Stadium on Saturday. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Fourth and final hour. It is JMart Ramon, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors here in Nashville. A full house here for you on a Wednesday morning. Great to have you with us alongside Keith Bulluck and Ramon Foster. I'm Will Boling. Lucas Panzica making the show happen for us here in our fourth and final hour. Ramon, that's Lucas. I am Will, just to make sure, because the last time, me, Lucas, and Ramon worked together, you switched us up a couple times there, Ramon. So
Slay did that too once.
It's y'all are still our guys. I mean, I mix up my kid's name. You feel me? Only name bet not mess up his wife's.
Ironic that it was you and Slay that got them mixed up.
Hey, I'm also the guy that don't know all the movies that they drop on here either.
Oh yeah. So somebody asked us in the
I'm listening to that.
somebody asked us in the YouTube chat this morning, like, y'all gonna do like celebrity birthdays? I'm like, listen, I don't even know where I would start.
No.
Because I don't know all these people to put in a list that Jonathan Schaefer's. I mean, I guess you could just Google famous person birthdays, but I'm not going to know who any of the people are.
But with me,
That's the point.
Well, that's true.
Exactly.
That's the point that Ramon makes the game into.
Y'all, see,
It's better
JMart,
that way.
JMart knows all the people. Like,
I know he does.
He's the contrast of like I'm just not going to like. I have no idea.
I played the time that you that I
heard
filled in
you,
one
yeah.
time.
Oh yeah, that's right.
But you knew a few.
I'm a little. And to be fair, I was in growing up in foster care. Me and my foster brothers, we would stay up and this is late 80s, early 90s. We stay up till 3 in the morning watching movies on Showtime, HBO, Cinemax. So we're watching 80s movies, 90s. So I know all the movies. And when I got here in 2000 as a first round pick, there was nothing to do. So I used to go buy all the DVDs that me and my brothers used to watch. So my DVD collection is stupid.
Mine is crazy too. That and CDs. But for me though, if it's good, that movie was good. Goodfellas, love that movie. That was good. It never was a thought of mine to be like, I gotta know who that actor is because I need to watch every movie that they're making. Like Will Smith has made some duds. Okay. Yeah. All these guys have made duds before. I'm like, not every movie. Brad Pitt has made a dud or two. Like, why would I watch and invest into it unless it's a good movie?
That's
obviously my explanation.
The actors usually reoccur in other movies, but go ahead, Will, what were you saying?
JMart, obviously is a critic. So he knows this movie is good. This movie is bad. If I watch a movie, I'm just there to watch it. I'm not thinking I'm not trying to pick it apart. I've got friends that are like, oh, I didn't like this movie that didn't have enough color scheme. It looked too bland. I was like, why? I don't care.
Or the wardrobe and stuff. That's the back story to Jay. Jay is a critic. He reads and watches these movies and do write-ups on them. So he's invested to know their names. Plus, he's got the cheat sheet. He's looking dead at what they've done. So I couldn't tell you who was on Grey's Anatomy.
That'll be tough for me too. I ain't tuning into that.
I'm trying to become more of like a TV show guy.
Hill Street Blues, maybe.
Yeah. Menace to Society, New York Undercover,
First 48,
Martin.
I'm doing. I'm watching Drive to Survive right now
Never heard
on
of
Netflix.
It. Yeah.
This is where Lucas Panzica is proud of me because I'm adopting an interest of a lot of my friends. So F1 racing is like become like what people my age that like all my friends like love F1. Like basically European NASCAR for those of you that don't know what F1 is. And there's a Netflix series that is like all access. They're like in the garage, like in their like headset when they're talking back to their like their pit crew and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like all access 3 seasons of like the storytelling of F1 racing. It's really good. It's like gotten me into it. It's like there's so much. I never knew there's so much drama and like these like Spanish and Italian dudes that just like hate each other because one of them gets wrecked in like a 50-lap race.
Straight up.
It's really good.
My the Daytona 500 was this weekend.
Yeah.
One of my boys, it's so funny. From John, so one of my boys from New York, John Cohen, is one of the 4 black owners of NASCAR.
Yeah.
Michael Jordan, Brad Daugherty,
Yep.
and Floyd Mayweather being the 3rd. Now, John, I met John when I retired in New York, and used to always talk about NASCAR. Like, I got to own a car.
Yeah.
I know we do it up in the Poconos in New York. And
Got invited there, by the way.
I've been
You been to it?
Bristol before with Tony Stewart. Shout
Bristol,
out to
baby.
Tony Stewart.
That's cold.
So it was. I just was just taking the moment because you were speaking about cars to just say that one of my boys is.
Absolutely.
My thing was he used to always talk about it. Nobody was paying him the time of day.
Yeah.
And then now fast forward to now, he's seen it all the way through and got his. I think he came in last, but he's
in the
still
show.
He in the show.
Yeah.
People were giving Jordan flack this weekend too, by the way.
Yeah.
They were saying Jordan hostile him on not showing up for the all 75 picture. And the backstory is Jordan owns a team.
Right.
Bubba Wallace, one of the better, more known drivers in all of NASCAR.
in Daytona.
What's second? Yeah, his first loser, but it matters still with the points with him.
Absolutely.
The points matter.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, Jordan is actually running a business here, like a NASCAR team. I know
Right.
he's tied. Who is it? Who is he's teamed up with? I read it the other night. Denny.
Denny Hamlin?
Hamlin. Yeah,
Yeah.
him and Hamlin own the team together. And you got Bubba Wallace. Like, of course I'm going to be there
an
for
all-star team.
that show right there. But he showed up to the All-Star game still and took the picture and, did the Jordan thing, challenged Magic Johnson to a game, and Magic just laughed it off.
Yeah.
I was like, well, is Magic an assassin or he's scared of Jordan?
Jordan
Which
was
one
for
is
real.
it? Yeah, he was for real. He
Jordan
basically was
was for
telling
real.
you need to get right. Is basically what he was telling them.
Basically, have y'all watched Last Chance U?
Heck yeah. Love
Drive
that
to
show.
Survive is Last Chance U.
Is it really?
It's the exact same style of show.
Nice.
Completely all access. Like nothing's really off limit. The first season, they don't really follow Mercedes as much because Mercedes is like
Ferrari?
the dominant team.
Yeah, Hamilton. Yeah, I've seen that.
Lewis Hamilton.
Yeah, Lewis,
Yeah.
yeah. I've seen the one guy switching teams, right? From
Mercedes,
no, it wasn't. It was the Ferrari team. I thought it was 2 Ferrari
Sebastian
guys.
Vettel moved
Yes.
to
I've seen
to
that
Aston
docu.
Martin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna have to watch it.
It's really good, dude. Like just like the Ferrari
good.
fans, like they like one of the Ferrari drivers wins in Monza in the Italian Grand Prix,
Yeah.
and like you would think like it was it Charles Leclerc, Lucas, that won in Monza? No, I mean the details doesn't matter. I'm just trying to quiz myself
Is it
now.
is it better than the Tender Swindler? Because that's what I've been watching.
I hadn't seen that. I heard about the Tender Swindler.
That's what I've been watching. I got to get on that. I'm gonna get on. What's it called? One more time.
Drive to Survive.
Drive to Survive.
3
Hey,
seasons.
it's intense.
The newest season comes out in 2 weeks, and I'll just say like the last F1 season came down to the final race, where like between the 2 guys that were in first and second, whoever won was going to win like the drivers' championship
Yeah.
in 2021. So
But
the
it's-
new season comes out in a couple weeks, and
I
then
gotta
because
check it out.
the new F1 season starts in like a month.
You'll appreciate it because of the mindset of the racers, the egos
Oh my god!
of the racers, or the drivers.
Tom Brady's in it.
It's cold blood, but it's funny or comical. Those guys are going at it, the Ferrari and Aston Martin team, and lo and behold, here's Lewis Hamilton
he's a beast,
just
dude.
doing his thing.
If y'all get into this, you're going to find yourselves waking up at 6 a.m. on a Sunday morning to watch a race in like Abu Dhabi.
Well, I mean, I want to check it out. I want to check it out because I've actually been to the Monaco.
You did?
Grand
Okay,
Prix
so this is
before.
what I was going to say next is that they have a video of like Tom Brady throwing a football to Daniel Ricciardo, who's I won't ruin where he drives now because he moves around a little bit. Like they talk about Monte Carlo a ton, and that thing looks awesome.
And it was, it was just gallivanting around the world,
right.
you know what I mean? And
Right.
we ended up at the Monaco Grand Prix, and for me, like, I was just there, obviously, for the festivities. For the party,
It's like
but,
steeplechase on like a whole much bigger level.
So now it's like, it would be cool to watch because if I get that opportunity again, you know what I'm saying, I can, have some actual knowledge on what's going on.
What's
So
wild is the prestige and lifestyle of these drivers.
They are like they're celebrities to the celebrities.
Yeah.
Like Tom
That's
Brady,
just
like
drivers.
The drivers there, like as far as I don't know, like those are like the Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers of Europe. Like
But
even
a
the big
different level.
yes,
though.
like even the soccer players there, like the celebrities to like the athletes in Europe are the F1 drivers.
So
it's ridiculous.
I'm just starting to think that like Europe, being an athlete in Europe, period, is like
it's a status.
and like
itself.
the euros and the pounds that they're getting.
Well,
That's
so
funny.
my
mean,
friends
look
and
at-
I talk about this all. Sorry to interrupt.
No,
you.
no, you're good.
We talk about this all the time. Of like, imagine only having one team that you support. Like here, like in Nashville, obviously, like I've been a Titans fan my whole life.
Right.
I've been, I went to UT. My whole family went to UT. We had, the Atlanta Braves that we've cheered for. Like if like one of my teams loses, but like another one's doing well, like I'm good. Like it's like, all right, whatever. Like, Braves got swept this weekend, but like Titans got a big, game. They're gonna win. This weekend.
Balance. There's balance.
But like like over there, like you've got your soccer team and like that's kind of it.
That's it.
And you've got
For the
like maybe a
country.
driver you like, and like your entire fandom revolves around one or two teams, like period, year round.
Never thought about it like
Me
that.
either.
Like so, it's like a fascinating just conversation and like psychology of fandom and
I wouldn't even want to be that big of a star.
You say that, but them lights different.
Yeah,
I say this.
I'll take the money that
Yeah.
come with it, but like they could hide the lights.
I mean, but what's crazy? We can get into it, Will, too.
Yeah,
is
yeah,
where
for
they were the prodigies. Like Messi and Ronaldo, like how
crazy.
they were pinpointed at like 5-7 years old. You're the one.
right.
That's awesome.
Nashville SC season
How do you
starts
do that for
Sunday,
a
by the
driver,
way.
though?
Just throw that in there.
Yeah, I
He's
feel
good at
like-
go karts. You saw him how he
no,
rode his big
they
wheel.
literally do go-kart.
Yeah, he was getting off
It's
on his
awesome.
big wheel, then they put him in go karts. But no, that's what I heard. I asked I asked Tony Stewart how he got. It starts off with go karts,
Yeah.
and it just keeps going. Then you want to get into bigger, like trucks and stuff like that. It goes like that.
I'll real quick to kind of put a pin in this conversation. The like F1 racing now is like the way soccer was in America probably like 10 or 15 years ago.
Making a way.
It's like just now being accessible on like ESPN every weekend.
Yeah.
You just got to wake up early to watch it. And in like 10, 15 years, it might be at the point where, Premier League is on in America. So as they like, whenever, pardon my take, obviously a great sports podcast. Every time they talk soccer, they just end it by going, and that was talking soccer. That was talking European sports. All right. I don't know. I think people would almost rather hear us talk about this than mock drafts sometimes. We're going to do that here in a second.
We're
But
going to fly however we need to, Will.
that's right.
We got Mr. Monday Night in here. I got
Yeah,
people. I got
know.
his former
Facts.
teammates
We good.
texting me saying how great of a guy he was and
Good.
stuff.
I'm all right.
My literally,
I did get a
I
text.
told
I
you
had to
this
tell you
last
about
time, Keith, off the air, but I'm gonna say this on the air now. We'll get a break here in a second. That my roommate was like, he was like, "You're hosting with Keith Bulluck?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Tell him that when I was playing Brentwood Blaze as a kid, they wanted to move me to running back, and I was like, nah, middle linebacker. I gotta play middle linebacker." And that was it. Literally, I was like,
I
"Okay,
appreciate that.
there you go."
I get that around town. I get that around town. Yeah, I mean, look, it was the Titans were the first team here, and I got here year 2, and the Titans just exploded on the scene.
Yeah.
Javon Kearse was the year before me, and it's like, how you follow that? So my mentality, I had to get right. You know what I'm saying?
I love it.
I grew up here. I moved here when I was 22. I'm 44. I've come and gone and come back again, and I still come and go, and I'll always come back. So,
I I love it.
There it is.
Let's go around the mock drafts for the Titans. I'm curious for you guys, the first thing you are looking for right now for the Titans at number 26. I know that obviously it's hard to do a whole lot of draft prep before free agency happens, but we're going to get into the priorities going into the offseason. Got another hour for you coming up here. JMart Ramon, 104.5 The Zone.
Yeah.
JMart Ramon on 104.5 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors here in Nashville. Fun show today. It's been quick here this morning. Will Boling, Ramon Foster, Keith Bulluck with you. Later on in the week, we're here with you tomorrow and Friday as well. I want to get y'all.
I'm back?
Yeah.
If you want to be back, Keith. I mean,
Back.
if you
News to
are,
you.
Up in this piece.
I'm back.
Combine
Mr.
is
Magic City.
is very close.
You remember the DJ drama? My bad. Well, we was just
No,
having
no,
a-
you're- this
when
is good. This is what we want. This is
When
what
that
we want.
mixtape dropped, when Jesus said, "I'm back, Mr. Magic City," make it rain on your forehead. All right, never mind.
I've been listening to Eminem like
Hey,
nonstop
since the Super Bowl.
halftime show.
Look what that did for you.
I'll like get in the car and just guess who's back.
Back again. Yeah,
That first album is pretty good.
it is. I like the first three. I think.
Can you
Solid.
believe that "Lose Yourself" came out in 2002? It's 20 years ago.
Was it really?
Yep.
Still in high school.
I'm not.
I
Gonna,
didn't play that then.
I'm
That
not
song
gonna-
never really hyped me up. It's
Really?
a hype song.
Yeah.
It's a definite hype song.
Yeah.
Like I like it in the stadium. You know what I mean?
Right.
But that's not in my
Playlist.
playlist.
But see, back then though, I was so just geographically stuck in West Tennessee. All I was playing is 3-6 Mafia, Player
There you
Fly, like
man.
stuff like that. I wasn't even on Biggie, J, none of that.
So that's the thing. I'm a New York guy coming down here. Now I'm getting into all the, all the South trap music and stuff like that. So, all right. So
Yeah,
I like it.
our bad. Well, we just wrecking
No.
you this
Hey,
morning,
no,
man.
it's perfect.
This
That's
is
what the-
combine talk.
People don't want to hear me. They don't know who I am. They know who y'all are.
I
This
mean,
fits into your segment, though. Fits into-
look at this, trying to smooth it over.
No, I was saying though that
Here I
like I
am
can't
talking-
believe like that song came out 20 years ago.
Was it really?
I love that song.
It didn't register
good
to
one.
me till like college though. That's when
Yeah.
it came out.
There's a funny
Oh.
TikTok, which I'm aging myself saying there's a funny TikTok,
come
but
on
just
now.
hold with me that it was like who's gonna stop like these guys, and it was like Jackson Mahomes and Mahomes' wife. And then it cuts to Joe Burrow, and it's the song of Without Me by Eminem, where it's like, this looks like a job for me. And it's 615-737-1045. Let's do a little bit of mock drafting. I was going to say, coming up later in the week, I want to get y'all's thoughts on like what the week before the combine is like.
Man,
I
you
know
want
it's
to do that
it's
later on
different
in the
for-
week?
Yeah, let's do that tomorrow.
That could be a 4-day show in itself, Will. That's oh my God.
'Cause
Were
I'm
you
sure
stressed
that's like-
before we get to it, Keith? Were you stressed?
No, it was a business. It was a business deal for me. Like,
Yeah.
I just went there. I'll save it for later in the week.
Yeah,
but
sure.
I wasn't stressed at all.
Because
I just didn't
thought-
know what I didn't know. at
I
that
don't think
time.
people realize like how much technique training goes into just the 40 on its own.
Yeah.
Like it's not like you're just all right and everybody knows how to run straight. Like you're learning how to be a sprinter.
That's cheat modes. I've seen people, man, at college for the pro day and the combine find ways to stretch themselves
Yeah.
for testing and measurement. I saw a guy gain an inch
Wow.
on his height.
Wow.
I saw this, like legitimately got stretched.
All right. Yeah, we need to do this full conversation, but the mock drafts for the Titans. First of all, it's hard to do these things pre-free agency, but it's a reasonable discussion to have at this point because combine's a week away. So I think it's interesting to look at your draft needs and wants from a team perspective before the combine, and then that way you can contrast it with after the combine of like, all right, this guy's stock rose, this guy's fell. So your pre-combine mock drafts are kind of all over the place right now. But there's two guys within the SEC that I think are very intriguing. Jamison Williams at Alabama is one of these mock drafts. CBS Sports has him to the Titans. And Traylon Burks of Arkansas. Two wide receivers.
Big wide receiver.
Yeah, and Jamison Williams is more of your typical slot kind of, bigger route tree, more, quick inside the numbers that this team is probably looking for at the slot position with Chester Rodgers, a free agent. But Traylon Burks, you get a guy like that, you got another A.J. Brown that you line up in the slot.
And I think that's clutch, too, for a guy like A.J. Brown, too, which, Keith, you know this to be true, too. His availability sometimes kind of stipends his offense a little bit. It kind of, stubs the offense. So having a guy that's similar to him or like him is either you got to get a young guy like that can learn under him and grow and be better,
Right.
or you got to find a guy in free agency that can, fill his role when he's out. I think the planning for this team has to happen in a real methodical way to continue this reign of what they are. To me, it seemed like this team is relying strongly on defense moving forward.
Yeah, when it comes to those two picks specifically, I think you're absolutely right. AJ wasn't able to stay on the field much this year, but we know what he's like when he can stay on the field. Either way, he needs someone to complement him. I'm not too big on the tight end position with the Titans or that number 2 or 3 wide receiver. They had Julio Jones, which was a name, and he's automatic when he's in if you get him the ball. But for longevity, that's not it. I know they need a slot and they need another number 2 at wide receiver. They need like some explosion and productivity from that offense because it wasn't there this year. They did great, you know what I'm saying, as far as being able to win games and stuff, but like explosion from offense, we saw that from Derek, we see that from AJ, but we need some new names within the program.
Sure. I would even go further though. Like I like the sexiness of what the receiver can bring immediately to this offense, to this team. This is going to sound very cliche of me, like, duh, I'm on you to say this, but I would say that they need to focus more on the OL. And let me tell you why. This team is almost at a point, depending on what they do with Ryan, to where they're going to have to transition at some point. They're either going to have to extend him and pay him, but either way, he's got to be protected, if it's him or the guy behind him. I'm looking at a situation right now. I don't think the Titans are going to have as much money as what Cincinnati has as far as the cap goes. If Cincinnati wants to, they can go get Zeus Brown. They can go get a guard because they got the money to pay for it. I think if you're smart now with this team, you go grab a lineman. 1, to train them up if you do bring back 2 of the 3. If you bring back Ben and Taylor, awesome. If you bring back Taylor and Roger, awesome. But you need a guy in that room to help the succession of the next quarterback. Joe Burrow still, he can go get a vet. But if they go draft a rookie early in Cincinnati, you know this to be true too. He's still going to have to grow. Unless he's just pure game ready and they find a way to just protect him, there's got to be growth. So what I'm saying is you get a guy early enough to train him, make him a pro to where the next guy come in, he's not gun shy in the pocket.
And I agree 1,000% to stick with, the O-line conversation. Regardless of who it is, if you get a young guy, he's going to have some good veterans in that room, whether it be Taylor, Ben, or Rodgers. So, that adds for development. And also what we do know is Ryan Tannehill has 1 or 2, 3 more, however many more years. The next step for the Titans, too, is to bring in the quarterback of the future. So to Ramon's point, like if you have a solid, solidified offensive line, then you don't need to necessarily draft a quarterback like Joe Burrow who can take the most sacks.
And if you're good, you're not going to get them because you're going to be picking 20 and later.
So I like that. I like that method. You start building the line now in preparation for your quarterback of the future. Absolutely, especially when you still have some good, savvy veterans in that room that can help that kid along.
It's a really interesting discussion because what the Titans do with Harold Landry is going to let all of the other dominoes fall. I think Harold Landry is back on this team next year just based on his scheme fit within this team and the amount of snaps that guy plays. He's got more snaps than any edge in the past 2 seasons.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
And I don't know this. This is
sure.
Are the Titans able to franchise him?
That is, I think that's what's going to end up happening.
By the cap, just by their cap number.
The number for Harold Landry would be $20.2 million. And he's expected to get around the Leonard Floyd number of about $17 to $18 million if he gets a longer term deal.
I would just cap him. Personally, I would cap him. He wants to be one of the highest paid at his position. That would get him his wishes. And then, the conversation is, of course, we try and get a long-term deal next year, you know what I mean? But I think that gives John Robinson opportunity and time. Okay, I took care of my guy. Now let's work on the team. You know what I mean? So I don't know.
And this is where, Keith, you've been on really good teams before. This is what happens, though, when you got good players and you got a good team. Like, the front office has to find ways to manage the money. This is where I've always just look at a certain organization, be like, man, y'all just doing the bottom.
Yeah.
You're just doing the minimum. You just the bare minimum.
Yeah.
Because it's harder to win for a lot of different reasons. Like the coaches got to press the issue a little bit more. The cap of retaining players that made you good, that becomes a challenge. It's easier to just get 5 wins and get a high draft pick, and then you lose again. Like, I've always said that about certain organizations. Like, man, they're just doing the bare minimum because they're going to get $250 million check no matter what at the end of the season.
Let me ask you about this, Ramon. To create space, you've heard guys say, I'll take a discount or I'll give money. Do you believe in giving the team a discount if you're a player, or if you, in Kevin Byard's situation, he's just coming off an all-pro, Pro Bowl season, in which he says he's willing to, I'll go renegotiate to get Harold
Structure,
with that, he should be thinking the other way, though. You know what I'm saying? So, but what do you, as a former player, what do you think about putting some money back in so we can retain the guys we need?
I feel two ways about it, just being real with you. For a guy like Byard, I think his play is going to elevate him, even if his cap number is high enough. He's still going to be on this team. They'll restructure again to defer some money some other way. If they decide to cut him, Byard's reputation going to get him another job, regardless of their situation, too. It sounds sad. It's like, well, it ain't your bread. That's true. But the business says if his production is still above the line, he's going to get hired again.
Sure.
As far as the hometown discount stuff go, for me, I feel like what's your end game? It's the question that has to be asked. Are you for it for the bread and you don't care if you win or lose? Hey, you can get $19 million and Tennessee's offering you $16.5.
Right.
That $19 million, though, too, I look at the Texas. If it's the Giants offering him that $19 million in New York is probably $16.5 still.
$19 million in New York? No way, sir.
I'm saying as far as the equivalent of it. The Texas is going to take. Okay, so no state income tax.
Bringing that 19 all the way down to about 12.
So let's talk about the economics real quick. I love this.
That's
okay,
crazy.
So in Tennessee, 16.5. After everything's said and done, here Harold will bring home about 12.
16, yeah, sure.
After taxes,
state free. I played here
fees.
10 years.
That
Great.
tag estimate is between about 17 to 20.
I'm just saying if he got a deal.
Yeah, right.
If the deal's on the table, he'll probably bring home 11 or 12 after
Get a
everything's
good
said and
percent of his
done.
money for sure.
If he go to New York, you got the Jersey tax and the New York tax. That 19 is probably going to be 9 or 10.
I made 2.5 that one year I played in New York.
Yeah.
I don't know where that went.
I
don't know where that went.
So as far as the number and the discount, it goes to, okay, and then it's the situation. I've seen guys in Pittsburgh leave to go to a different team. Production goes down, and you cut within 2 years. You stay and you're a legend. So that's why I say, are you chasing the number and the money?
Great point.
Or does winning actually mean a little bit more, too? Because if you can get Harold here, let's go. They cut him down to 15. 15 a year.
Right.
Let's do that.
Right.
New York is offering 19.
Right.
That 19 looks amazing. But we all look at the Giants and say, they got a long road. There's a winning culture here. I know the scheme. Coach going to take care of me on days I need off.
Right.
Is that worth more money than going to New York for the 19 when it comes to Harold, though?
Well, here's the other thing, too. The most coverage snaps since 2019 for outside linebackers. Harold Landry's number 1 in the league in most coverage snaps for an edge. With 346. His head coach was the exact same way. And Mike Vrabel, the first year, this was a stat from Pro Football Focus in 2006. Mike Vrabel led the NFL with 409 coverage snaps at outside linebacker.
So let me ask you about that stat, right? Because I was a true outside linebacker.
Right.
You know what I mean? So if he has all those coverage, how many interceptions does he have?
Well, he doesn't have any.
Right.
Well, I think he might have one.
So
Actually, now that I think about
why are you putting this man in coverage? I'm
Right.
not
When
understanding
he's a
that.
rusher.
Like if he's not, what effect? And then now we're talking scheme, obviously.
Yeah, sure.
But like you're putting this man. He's got the
two.
most. He has 2 picks.
Yeah.
All right, that's cool. You'd say I'll take 2 picks from my defense end.
But then it's to that point, though, scheme. If
gonna
he's
get
not
more
getting
rushes.
home, though, who else is at his expense, though?
Sure.
And I'll say this, too. He picked the right year to have double-digit sacks.
Yeah, he did.
It's like $1.5 million a sack now, ain't it?
He made a play every week.
Yeah, he
like
did.
if you watch
Yeah,
the
he did.
Titans, he's making a play every week. Even in losing games, like Harold Landry's made a play every week. And you know what? Bud Dupree, I feel, has a lot to do with how that D-line approached the game this year, because Bud Dupree at Pittsburgh, he was a high motor guy, brought the defense along, and also, you know, okay, he's coming off ACL, but he still brings the mentality. He brings the winning mentality.
Right.
He knows how to approach practice. He knows how to approach certain games, certain opponents. And that D-line is a little young with Big Jeff, Autry, you know, and those guys. Yeah, so people won't see it like that unless you're someone that knows more about the game. And that's no disrespect to other people who have different opinion, but that's just the fact of the matter.
So that goes to the question then. If presented with a 19 versus 16, does Harold stay because of the scheme?
Sure.
Because of personnel, Bud, Danico, Jeff. In New York, they got Leonard Williams.
Yep.
He's getting a little older.
And who else? At least your compadres can get you to the quarterback here, to where in New York, hey, get Harold and look, y'all double team Leonard Williams.
Well, and you got a new head coach at a lot of these places that are going to have more cap space, and you don't know what to expect from Brian Dabble.
Yeah.
Like you heard what Patrick Mahomes said at the Pro Bowl, like, hey, it'd be so fun to play for Mike Vrabel. Like, Vrabel's got that's in the atmosphere now of being, you know, a player's coach kind of guy.
Right.
Helps him this time of year.
Yeah. I've lost my train of thought.
Was it about the personnel?
Nope, I forgot. Don't worry.
Let's get a quick break. Let's get our last commercial break in. We will preview some of the topics coming up for tomorrow. Take a look at any of the headlines we have missed. Fun show. We'll do one more coming up next. 104.5 The Zone.
Hey, Rocket, what's my mortgage rate? Rocket, when am I closing? Is anyone there? Rockets are really cool, but they don't speak mortgage. You need a home loan expert for that. Get pre-approved for your next mortgage at thehomeloanexpert.com.
Fun show today. JMart and Ramon, powered by All Four Seasons here on 104.5 The Zone. Buck Rising up next, yelling into your radio for the next 3 hours. Lucas Panzica, our producer.
But that's our guy.
That is our guy.
That's our guy.
Absolutely. Coming up tomorrow, we're going to take a look more at some of this combine stuff. And we did this yesterday. I'm interested to kind of get y'all's thoughts on the same topic of who you're most interested to see or what position group you're watching the most. Not even just from a Titans perspective, but I'm just fascinated to see how the quarterbacks kind of test out at the combine, because it seems like there's less buzz over this quarterback class than there's been in a long time.
Because it's early.
Like I know people are going to talk themselves into
A quarterback, yeah.
like Sam Howell being a potential like top 10 pick, and then it's going to go the same way Trubisky did in Chicago.
Yeah, I think if I didn't, I'm a firm believer that you can find a quarterback in any. You don't always have to get a first round quarterback, because most of these, if you just go back the last 10 years, how many of these quarterbacks have been first round talent? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, a lot of these quarterbacks get drafted early.
That's true.
And they don't even pan out.
No.
Yeah.
Like, we can go through the teams and just really, we could do it like that to see, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Was Patrick Mahomes even a first round pick?
He was
He
was
was.
late. Oh, was it
Late?
like 11?
I'm going to look that up.
But I know there's
say
like
10.
you can go through.
But he also, this is the other point of Patrick Mahomes, too. He
Saturday
had
year.
time.
10th pick.
Yeah.
He had time.
Saturday year.
You've brought that up numerous times as far as, okay, well, look what happens. I'm pulling up the 2017 draft right now.
He was the 10th pick. They traded up to get him.
Yeah.
I know for a fact that, with time, you have a better chance to be a better professional in all aspects, on the field, off the field, how to handle your body, how to speak to the media, how to handle, even personal relationships, because you don't even have to, you're not really engulfed in football yet.
Right.
So it's almost like redshirting in college, if you get that opportunity.
Right.
They won't allow them to, though. That's the part that sucks the most. Like looking at Justin Fields.
Yeah.
This
they just
year.
throw him out there.
And they the pressure of the franchise and the fan base was like, hey, we need a savior. And it's you, Justin. And he wasn't ready, and the coach didn't seem like he was on the same page with him either.
615-737-1045. Let's go to our final call of the show. Let's go to Kevin in Lebanon. Good morning, Kevin.
Good morning, guys. Ramon, being the pop culture guy that you are, I want to remind you that guy at the combine, you said they made an inch taller. Well, that was nothing. If you remember back on the Andy Griffith show, they made Barney over an inch taller. They stuck that thing around his head and hung him in the closet, and he grew over an inch.
That's awesome.
Is this true? Is this true?
That is awesome.
Hey, people do weird things at the combine, man.
I have a,
Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you.
That's funny. I know we're gonna talk about the combine tomorrow, but I know some people, and I'll save it for tomorrow. Some people that and y'all know some people too that have pulled some tricks on some of the combine doctors and coaches, and probably have helped their draft status.
No doubt. So I'm looking at the to your point though, the 16 NFL draft. Number one overall as far as being first rounders, not first round talent. Number one, Jared Goff, Carson Wentz. Keep going.
You can get those guys in the second and third round.
You could legitimately. The next quarterback off the list was Paxton Lynch.
See, man. So that's my whole thing, right? Like in a draft,
respectfully, I say that.
Yeah. In a draft like this, like where there's a class like this, where there's no clear cut first round, suit that could get you to the talent, Super Bowl talent. Why force the quarterback pick?
Yeah.
Why not trade that pick if you have someone decent? If you have some quarterbacks in your stable,
sure.
Why not trade that pick and overload to get more a better quantity of players with hopes of getting more quality draft picks?
Sure.
Yeah. By the way, another quarterback, Jacoby Brissett, Connor Cook.
These are all
quarterbacks get passes. They weren't first rounders, but just in general.
Right, but I'm saying these are all quarterbacks that, look, they could play football, but they don't. None of those names needed to be first-round draft picks.
Right.
Yeah.
It's true.
Wow.
Quick show.
Yep.
That's it,
fun.
we're done?
That's right.
That's
our time.
Fastest 4 hours in radio.
That's right.
Yes, sir.
No huddle offense for 4 hours every morning.
Ready,
JMart
break.
Ramon.
My bad. Ink was ready, too. He didn't call it. My bad.
Is what?
Ink was ready.
Oh, shoot.
We might get him tomorrow.
Yeah, let's do it tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll do it tomorrow.
Yeah, we're good. Fun show today. We'll talk with Inky Johnson tomorrow.
bad. I just
Belmont
saw my
head
dog,
coach
too.
Casey Alexander will join us tomorrow with Belmont and Murray State. Great to have you with us. Will Boling, Keith Bulluck, Ramon Foster back at it tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. The Buck Rising Show is up next right here, 104.5 The Zone.
And remember, your Twitter fingers and your mic is always hot.